I don't know if I'm going to be playing a game.
Oh, there's such a cute bunny.
This is what I get for looking at bunny gifts before we start. So, podcast.
It is your fault. You did this to yourself, and it's all your fault.
I did. Yes.
How dare you?
I want to see bunny gifts.
Frankly, I'm mad at you.
It was a lady laying on a bed, and
then the bunny
like
flops next to her to go to sleep.
Yeah,
you've already seen it. It was.
I've seen it. I've seen it like 4 times. Yes.
Bunnies can't be cute to me right now. It's impossible.
Why?
Shadow Warrior.
I've been playing Dishonored 2, and in the Dishonored universe, rabbits are like dog-sized, but you only ever see them in the context of like prepared for a meal.
Oh,
so you have rabbits sprawled out like the pig with an apple sort of thing, like all cooked and everything.
The dead ones.
But they're all like when they're all sprawled out, they look way too human at a glance because they have those long legs and everything, and like the limbs, like it's way too creepy. And so, like, as of today, right now, there's no cute bunnies in my life. I can't accept that.
You should look at this GIF and it'll make you feel better.
No.
What was that game that you guys played a long time ago, where you crash land and there are cannibals after you?
Oh, The Forest?
Is that what it was? The Forest?
I think so.
That game sucks.
Bioshock?
I'm just thinking... I'm just thinking of games where cannibalism... like, your opponents are cannibals. Aside from, I suppose...
Skyrim, your character is a cannibal.
You mean
your character's a cannibal.
Well, anybody
Weirdo.
could be, but
I'm
my
sure some of the people
especially...
on Outlast were cannibals.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
We never
was not
did
a happy
finish that
place.
game.
I don't want to finish that game.
It freaked
That was
Wander
too
out.
scary.
That was the first playthrough on my
Squiggles.
channel.
The level design, okay, so, like, it used darkness to add tension and stuff, but, like, at one point I was lost, and I kept getting murdered over and over and over again.
Well, it wasn't that we were getting murdered. It was spoilers. After the guy cuts off 2 of your fingers.
So, like, midway through the game.
Yeah, midway through the game, there are a series of rooms, and you have to find some way to go down an elevator or something, but you need a
that
pass
segment's
card
really
or
hard.
key. And the thing was, he kept finding us. We kept running.
Yep.
You can, like, hide under the beds or...
Yep.
And the thing is, the only safe place that we knew of was the air vent. So,
Yeah, that air vent's hilarious.
well, but it's the only thing that kept us from perishing time and time again, because he couldn't climb in after us, and we were safe until he rounded the corner or whatnot. But then we would always have to start from that, but we never could scout enough before we had to retreat back to the vent.
That game's interesting
Every
because
single
it was
time
just...
he's like, hang on a minute, buddy.
Yeah.
In his little high-pitched voice. And he comes charging
game's
after
interesting
you like a
because,
happy
like,
doctor.
When I started doing LPing, that game was like LPing red meat. Like, there was almost like an insatiable audience for, like, Outlast and Amnesia and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I just watched a
then-
new playthrough of it and enjoyed it, actually, because Michael and Gavin from Rooster Teeth played it.
Right? It's not bad to watch other people play it. I mean,
think
it's
it's
kind of
because-
generic, but it's really interesting.
People might be less inclined to play it themselves. And so watching... I mean, at the same time, I could see it being infuriating as well, for at least from the puzzle game perspective, because you might know the answer to some things. But I think if you're seeing it for the first time...
I mean, there aren't even
way
puzzles. It's just find the thing that opens the thing over and over again.
Yeah,
Right.
Actually, I don't think I really got stuck at any point. I think there was one
Yeah.
confusing part where I kept running down the hallway past Chris Walker over and over again, and there was like a part where I didn't realize I was supposed to hop an event, and it took me too many times to notice the vent. But aside from that, like, I don't think I got super stuck. It was just a matter of noticing things in the environment.
Yeah.
Plus, wasn't that, like, also during the time where, like, PewDiePie was playing almost exclusively horror games and stuff like that?
PewDiePie and Markiplier were rising to prominence really hard that year.
Yeah.
So...
I think
PewDiePie
people
was
enjoy
very
seeing other
established
people...
by then.
Well, PewDiePie was
Right.
established, but, like, he was going from, like, one of the really large guys to
The thing
number
on
one
YouTube.
YouTuber, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
So
it
he
the
wrote his, like...
screaming?
Yeah. Did he ever do Minecraft, or was it just, like, horror games and, like, Flash games?
I'm going to Google now.
I don't know. I know CNanners did Minecraft for, like, quite a while.
That's how
was
I
weird.
discovered CNanners was, I was like, I want to play Minecraft.
I found Sea
on
Nanners
YouTube Minecraft, and then I popped up with Sea Nanners, and it was like, oh, it's like I was like, it's a gameplay guide, but it's also
there's a
PewDiePie
commentary video from 6 years ago with no thumbnail called Minecraft Multiplayer Fun on PewDiePie's channel.
That must have been really,
nice.
Yeah, that's 2010. That must have been even early days for him.
That like the level, like an extent of like, I don't know what I'm doing on YouTube yet, even basically. Then they have one called Minecraft is Scary, which is from a year ago.
Oh, probably some mod. Or like a custom level or something.
Yeah.
I wonder if the fear is less palpable and you feel like you're not suffering the consequences of someone else's actions by watching a horror game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like watching
like
a horror movie.
On your part.
we actually did this a month ago with Stainless, where he was playing Outlast 2 and streaming it to us via Skype, and we were making fun of him mercilessly.
Oh.
It was awesome. That's actually that's actually one of the number one things that I'd like to actually do again, because it was such an enjoyable experience of just being the peanut gallery to somebody else shitting themselves.
Could he hear you, or could you just all?
Oh, he could hear us the entire time. So we were making fun of him for being
Scared.
Scared, yes, but wanting. I think we were making fun of him for looking for nuns for whatever reason, and being nun sexual. At which point
That's
he
funny.
gets killed by a nun at the very end or something like that, and he's just screaming. We're like, it's full circle,
Dude, let me tell you about an experience very similar to that. I was playing Stop It Slender with a couple of friends, and we joined a server that was glitched out, so I was the only person that was able to join it. But there was everybody else entered spectator mode, and they couldn't get into actually choose sides except for me. So I'm running around this dark ass area with Slenderman, and I have 4 or 5 people in voice chat that are spectating me and telling me every single thing that Slenderman is doing. And there's something incredibly unnerving about a bunch of people just being like, he's right behind you. He's right behind you, the whole time you're trying to play a game. I couldn't I lasted about 15 seconds, and I
mean, if you think about it, aren't one of the key moments in many horror films the ones in which you see footage or a baby cam or something and realize that whatever is pursuing you is actually seeing you?
A baby. Oh.
About the
Everything's
baby
scarier
too.
when you can't see it.
Jaws.
You know when the mother is frightened and she looks at the baby cam and you see some kind of monstrous thing over the baby's bed and you just know it's there, that kind of thing. But it goes both ways.
Well, it's like how it's for the whole not seeing things, a Soma goes out of its way to actually have mechanics built into each character that essentially stop you from looking at it directly. And that's kind of part of the point. Because they've long since learned that in horror games, the more you get to look at the enemy, the less scary they are.
Yeah, because
Right.
they look stupid.
Yeah, especially
Like,
monsters. If it's just a big old human
Yeah.
that wants to stab you to death, then it doesn't really matter if you get to get a good look at it, because it's it's viably dangerous because it wants to stab you to death.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Every time I've played a horror video game where where the monster glitches out and it just kind of gets stuck in place and you're able to just stare at it for a good long time, the game immediately becomes less terrifying for forever.
That's what broke Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. Is that I was playing that with Andrew, and it's such a long buildup of seeing absolutely nothing and just walking through a creepy house for a while, and then you see this little skittering silhouette of the weird pig beast at one point, and it's horrifying because you barely get the chance to even see it or anything. But then a later point, you get to walk around and look down these chasms where there's a little pig society happening basically, and you can see clearly what they are, and you actually see you even see 2 pigs bullying another pig, and I'm like, how is this supposed to make these characters scary? It just means that they're just normal sentient creatures now. It's screwed
Animal
up what they
Farm.
are and what they're made of or how this happened and stuff. But it makes the monsters way less scary if you get to just stare at them like they're in an aquarium, and that deflated that game for the rest of the playthrough for us, because we were supposed to be afraid of them still, but they were they're just pig head monsters. They're just there.
A friend of mine. Oh yeah, what were we gonna say, Shell?
Oh, I was just ruminating over the fact that I find that in horror films and in horror games that a a human with nefarious motives or just
like a
bent,
necromancer.
twisted personality, I find them to be far more effective horror villains than creatures that have just a bestial primal instinct to eat or breed or whatever. Because
well, I think that the standard thing in most horror movies is that the message is always like that people are the real monsters. So there you go.
Not in
yeah,
Soma.
like Alien. Yeah,
like Alien, all zombie movies are actually about like greed or capitalism because they always like the zombies are at the mall and stuff like that. Like,
Well,
The humans end up harming one another over the zombies.
yeah.
Nowadays, zombie stuff is more usually about overpopulation and things like that.
yeah, environmental problems.
The metaphor's shifted over time. You don't really see a mall anymore.
Yeah.
But that's definitely where it started.
That was the roots. Yeah. I had a friend that was making a horror video game a number of years ago. This was probably back in high school on Game Maker. And
I thought you were going to say it was a horror game about numbers when you said a number of years ago.
The math anxiety video game. Anyway, so the cool thing about this game, and the funny thing about it, was that he never got the AI for the monster right. So what happened was you were supposed to shine a flashlight on it, and it would like run away from the light. But instead, the AI was so screwed up that if you shined the light on it, it just charged at you instead. Like sometimes it would run away, other times it would like glitch out and like fly through your character.
That's scarier is a thing you have to navigate without
terrifying.
looking at. Because if you ever look at it, it attacks you.
Yeah, he ended up basically stumbling upon like a really interesting thing that I don't think any other game developer has ever really gone with. But
Slenderman?
A monster that breaks the rules is actually really, really frightening.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you meant a monster you don't look at.
Now, if it made contact with him, did it actually kill your character?
Yeah, it would deal damage to you and everything. It was just a full-out glitch. Like, it was basically it was trying to run away, but it would wrap around like where it wanted to go to be behind the player. So it would pathfind to go directly through the player.
Oh.
But it would only do it like every once in a while. So like, yeah, but it's just like this principle of like this thing just didn't obey the rules that you expected it to, which made it like a lot scarier than you would expect it would.
Yeah, that would have fucked me up in Soma actually, because in that game, every single that's almost the gimmick of that game as far as actual gameplay with monsters goes, was that every single monster had its own rules, basically. And if they randomly broke the rules completely, like that would be a hell of a thing to go through.
Yeah, I don't think any game designers ever really tried it. I can imagine that designing around that intentionally would be very hard.
Usually the idea of a thing that randomly breaks the rules to escalate the stakes is usually when you hit the obligatory part of a horror game where it's all about running away and hiding and escaping, but then suddenly cutscene happens where you do get caught. Is usually when that happens.
They've heightened the consequences a little bit, or something like that.
But that does the opposite of being scary usually, because you're like, oh, it's a cutscene. I don't do anything now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I hate when, like, in any game where it's like, you're doing great, really. You know, in an RPG, you've handily beat the boss. You don't need to, you've done a great job so far. Or, like, in a horror game where you've been, like, totally acing running away from the big bad
and then
monster.
There's the capture scene.
And then it just, like, regardless of how well you've been playing, it's like, for plot reasons, suddenly you suck. And it's just or they just kind of undo whatever you do by beating the boss in the first place.
Yeah. Like everyone knows the famous Call of Duty mission where you have to fight out in this damn cabin in the middle of a meadow for a long ass time, and it's really difficult, and then you finally escape and you run across the field and you're heading towards a helicopter or something and you just get killed and your character actually dies.
Oh yeah, that's at the end of
and it's infuriating. Yeah. It's like one of the harder missions, if I remember correctly. But your reward is dying anyway. And even Masquerada, in a really big way, is like, here's a really big boss fight, and then the conclusion of the boss fight is more or less that there was no reason to have the boss fight. Is kind of what happens.
Yes. Yeah, we finished that.
Do we want to just dive into that topic? Bird hasn't played it, but you've mentioned it as well.
Let's hold off. Let's hold off on Masquerada for like a week.
Okay.
Because I have I have like 10 episodes still coming.
Okay.
I'd be spoiling the game before
Okay.
it goes on my own channel.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Good idea.
Okay.
I have
So
finished Masquerada.
let's go back to my point just for a second. One of my favorite things in an RPG ever was in Tales of
Hysteria?
Symphonia. No. Symphonia,
There's a
the
lot
one on
of
the
tales.
GameCube.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them. It's easy to get confused.
Yes.
But so for Tales
Is
of
every single
Symphonia,
game in the series EA?
Yeah.
yes, I believe so.
I think they all-
Bersaria.
Oh wait, no. There's
Yeah.
Tales of Grace's F.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I don't know. Whatever.
There's weird
too many.
names in the series.
Uh-huh.
But so there's a boss fight at one point where one of your party members is effectively just like, I'm a villain now, and I'm going to kill you, and you're like, shit. But if you've like overgrinded to the point where you're like super powerful, or you've new game plussed it, you actually can beat him, and like the like normally insurmountable boss fight can be beaten, and it actually changes the plot to some degree for like at least the next
It
hour
changes
or
the
two.
plot?
Yeah,
That's actually really cool.
For just a short period of time, and just the
like
just
Metal
the
Gear Solid
idea
3
of that
kinda.
was super cool for me.
Yeah, kinda.
MGS3 did that.
There was a boss called The End that was an old man.
Yeah, The End.
Oh
You
yeah, I
could
know
either
what
fight
you're
him as a
talking
boss fight, or you could turn the clock forward to make him die of old age, or you could kill him in earlier cutscenes when you have a line of sight of him.
Yes. That Metal Gear Solid 3 actually had a number of interesting mechanics like that. Specifically,
you could kill Liquid Snake, and then you would actually lose the game because they would say it's a time crisis.
time
Yep.
paradox.
yeah.
I
Is
hate
it-
time travel.
Yeah.
If you went through the entire first half of the game without killing anybody, you get to the Sorrow boss fight, which is you just walking
it's
down
just
a
an
river and
empty
getting
river.
attacked by ghosts.
Yep.
But it's totally empty.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really.
I mean, the great
clever.
thing about Metal Gear Solid series in general, all the way up to even 5, is the fact that it maintains this status as being the "you can do that" series.
Yeah.
where everyone's like, "You can do that," in response to like 50 different things, like, "Oh yeah, you got bitten by a snake and got food poisoning and you're sick. You got to throw up." Go into the character select screen. I mean, go into your inventory screen, spin around Snake over and over again in the view screen, and that little preview 3D model thing. Keep spinning him, and he'll get nauseous and he'll throw up. It's like, what?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, Metal Gear loves their Easter eggs. That's
Wow.
for sure.
But like,
But they're
it's cool
they're
having
utility
that though.
Easter eggs too.
Yeah.
They do things, which is weird.
Because like, I've never run into a series that as deep as like as Metal Gear Solid for just like weird, convenient, strange things. Like, what is it? Partway through the game in MGS3, you get a fork, if I remember right. And so you go from knifing enemies to you could potentially hit them with a
Forking.
fork. But if you hit a small animal, you eat them instantly, regardless of what they are, including like alligators and shit.
oh yeah, this is the series where you can smoke a cigarette to see lasers.
Yes. It's just such a weird, kind of goofy, broken attention to detail. It's beautiful.
I mean, I've seen that done before, where you have dust and you throw it into a room.
Yeah, but like no
Yeah.
game does it so consistently.
very
It'll be
movie
like,
thing and
You're
not a video
supposed
game
to
thing.
actually use night vision goggles or infrared goggles.
Yeah.
But instead you can just smoke.
yeah,
And I've alerted guards and got into a bad situation in 5 before and waited it out for a bit, and then decided to just camp on a roof somewhere for 18 hours and completely change the guard patrols because I just stayed on a roof. There's always weird quirks. You can get in the cardboard box, dive off a slope, and then use the cardboard box as a sled to go down the slope.
yes, yes.
Huh.
It's just weird
That is
stuff that they
wow.
programmed.
That is one of the
Weird.
MGS5 is one of the few games that I'm like, I would break like the plot sequence just to play that.
Yeah. Like, there was a thing where, not Phantom Pain, Ground Zeroes came out, like, a year or two before Phantom Pain, and the initial response is they're charging all this money, and it's only like a 90 to ish, it's like a 1 to 2 hour mission, and that was the whole story of that entire thing, and it was like $20 to $30 based on if you got on a next gen or old gen at the time, and that got them flack, obviously. But then people who actually cared enough to pay more attention realized, oh, they gave us an entire island of unique content, and not only did they give us a whole bunch of different side missions you could do instead of the main quest, like you could deploy for completely different configurations, almost like Halo custom map type stuff, but also the place was so huge and open and weird that you could just do so many different approaches to the mission, and that was all unique content that wasn't in the Phantom Pain. That entire island was only in Ground Zeroes. So like it was one of those things where like it made up for its cost, but only for people that actually went through and would like bother to notice what was worthy about it. So by the way, I found the list for Tales games, and I'm
Okay. Give us a little read down.
I'm blown away by the fact that this franchise is only 20 years old, but it has Tales of Fantasia, Tales of Destiny, Tales of Eternia, Tales of Destiny 2, Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Rebirth, Tales of Legendia, Tales of the Abyss, Tales of Innocence, Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Hearts, Tales of Graces, Tales of Xillia, Tales of Xillia 2, Tales of Zestiria, and then this year, Tales of Berseria.
That's
Berseria.
almost one a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's-
Well, they reused their engine
That's
for a lot of
insane.
these games.
There have been more years that they've released a Tales of game than years that they haven't.
Wow.
They do actually, for a while, yeah, they were reusing a lot of the same, like, mechanics and stuff.
Assets.
Yeah, and a lot of these were actually pretty good. Tales of Symphonia, Tales of the Abyss, Tales of Xillia 1 and 2, those were all, like, really good. I haven't heard of anything for Berseria. I liked Zestiria, but, like, I just, halfway through, I just couldn't deal with it anymore. That
What did you run
mascot
into?
character.
You
That
were
I was gonna
mascot
say,
character.
you
Wait,
ran
is
into
the
like the little meerkats or whatever the hell those things were.
Yeah.
You were definitely not halfway through Zestiria.
Okay.
You were
Main
very
was
character's
like-
name
early.
is Velvet?
I was... What was that, Shell?
Was the main character's name Velvet for the most recent one?
Oh, for Bersaria? I haven't even looked at
Berseria is not out yet in the United
Yeah.
States.
Yeah.
It's coming out
Whoa.
January
I'm gonna
24th,
see if I can get better
2017.
light.
It's already out in Japan, though. 'cause
Wander
of course
suddenly
it
has
is.
Pokemon music blaring.
I just find it interesting that this is another Japanese RPG franchise where in the United States they're most famous for like their 6th or 7th game,
Yes.
which is always a surprise when there was a bunch of them before then.
Probably takes a little bit to get some traction. Also, porting.
That is a good question. I wonder if they all came out in the United States in the first place.
A lot of them probably didn't.
Okay, so Tales of Fantasia came out in 1995 on the Super Famicom in Japan, but it didn't come out in the United States until the Game Boy Advance port in 2006, 11 years later. So the first game
Jeez, it
definitely
almost
did not-
sounds like Fire Emblem.
the first game definitely didn't.
I bet actually,
No,
I bet
Tales,
that they
Tales
probably
of
did the same
Destiny
thing.
came out. Their second game came out in America in 1998. So
Okay.
with the second game, they were already coming out in the United States. Just the first one
alright.
skipped.
Huh.
And there's no confusing naming scheme because they don't have numbers, so there's no Final Fantasy or Dynasty Warriors Nightmare where they screw up the numbers forever.
Final Fantasy 1, 2, 4, 6, 3,
Yes.
5, 7.
I have been
8,
having...
9, 10.
I have been experiencing that so hard lately as a result
What?
of...
Wow. So Tales of Destiny 2 came out only in Japan, Korea, and the Republic of China. Odd.
All right.
So, do you know, I wonder, I sometimes in my attempt to find new anime to watch, which has been a little dismal, unfortunately, I've come across series that ended up being derived from these, what would I call them? Are they some kind of like dating sim battle game?
Oh, you're thinking of...
I'm thinking of Utawari Ramono and
Yeah, so they're
like the most
they're
recent
visual
samurai
novels with gameplay attached. It's not an uncommon thing.
and I think there
Like
was
Danganronpa?
Yeah, that one. And then there's also one that was sci-fi mecha based. It starts with an M. I'll have to think about it.
I know utterly nothing about like
We have
That
zero
sort of-
hooks in which to figure out what you're talking about.
industry. Yeah.
Well, okay, so there are two main female characters. One has brown hair. One has very pale white hair. I think the
There's
one
one
in
at
front with white
Tsundere
hair.
and one at
Shelly, you might as well
Not-
skip to the end of this point because
She's from Russia, and the other one's from I don't know.
I mean,
I'll have to
no one's
figure
going
it
to be able
out.
to identify it, so giving us clues
Yeah.
isn't going to help.
Unfortunately, all the animes just end up being, oh wow, there's this one dude that can pilot mechs that only women are allowed to pilot. Yay! You're suddenly the center of a harem, and it's like, no, not watching this.
Oh, so he's Paul Atreides. Kind
Paul
of.
Atreides.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'll figure it out.
Kinda.
It's
It'll
not that
never
it,
leave.
yeah, it's not that it really matters,
Oh,
Shell.
it's Muv-Love. It's called Muv-Love.
Cool. That fixes
Wow.
everything. Now we know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That sounds like a real promising IP right there.
No.
Is it spelled M-U-V-L-U-V? Yes, it is.
Yes,
All
it
right,
is.
then.
Initially, I'd seen action figures for the female characters. I'm like, oh, cool, a mecha thing with female characters.
If
And then
I
I
were-
realized, oh no,
If I remember
it's a
right,
harem anime.
it's like a pretty popular bullet hell shooter, even.
I think-
No?
maybe.
No? Wait, no, maybe I'm thinking about something
You're probably
else.
thinking of...
Shit, I don't remember.
You're thinking of the really, really, really popular franchise.
Wasn't there
Bullet Hell.
Vandred and other things?
I don't
But
know.
that probably was never made into a video
The games
game.
industry can be really weird when it comes to trying to appeal to people's desire for weird, smutty, whatever.
Well, that's the thing. It
Yeah.
seems like in Japan, you have series that go across several mediums. It always seems like in America, things had to be a comic book, a movie, or a novel before they become a video game. But though there's a lot of video games that also become movies, but very rarely television shows.
And then you get the novelizations of the thing, where it didn't start out as a book, but then it becomes a book afterwards, because everything gets turned into books, because it's cheap.
Ah, yeah, I hate that.
And then there's the Warcraft movie.
Which is a book, basically.
Uh,
That was a sound.
So did you actually go about
it's a
seeing
fairly accurate assessment of my feelings for that movie.
Yeah, we
So-
also saw Kingsglaive and other things, and it's just like,
So I was
I don't know.
What were you
saying
gonna
that,
say?
I was saying that people should see Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then I,
I
didn't
didn't
see
see
Doctor
it.
Strange.
Oh, wait. I thought you said you went off to see it. All right, whatever.
I went to the theater to see a movie, and I didn't have a lot of free time, so I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the theater. There's 3 different movies I want to see, and the one that's playing next is the one I'll go to. The next Doctor Strange showing was an hour and a half away, so instead I saw The Arrival.
oh, I
Which
really
is
want to see
great.
that. I really want to see that. I really do.
Well, let's just all sit around and talk about movies we want to see, as opposed to ones we did see.
For me, I was like, I'll either see Creatures, Arrival, or Strange, and I saw Arrival because it was next.
What's Creatures?
sorry.
Fantastical creatures.
Fantastic
and-
Beasts and
Oh,
where to find them.
fantastic.
I always had to
Yeah.
look it up every single time.
Do you know what? I feel really bad. I gave away my original Scholastic edition from elementary school of that book.
Oh, was it a first edition?
It may have been.
There was a
Oh,
book
no.
in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I knew it was a book in Harry Potter. I didn't know that it was actually a book that was
It
printed
was.
too.
It was. It was essentially just a small paperback book about. It was an encyclopedia or a zoological thing about the creatures. Unfortunately, there weren't many
Yeah,
illustrations,
it's like a
if at
lore
all.
companion guide.
Yeah, that's basically all it was.
I think it must have come out after Goblet of Fire because they did include a lot of the various types of dragons and creatures from that one. So when did Goblet of Fire come out?
I do not know.
2000 and
2000.
Yeah, well, I think I may have
the
when
alternative
I-
title for the podcast.
Well, I can confirm that Fantastic Beasts came out in 2001.
Yeah, I believe that when I went back home after Wander and I began long distance after college, I was
the
helping
Goblet
my
of Fire
family.
came out in 2000? Good lord.
Yep.
That's a long time
dun.
ago.
I think the
all I
Harry
know
Potter.
all I know is that four books were out before the movie started. 'Cause I always saw the 4 books set everywhere. I didn't think there was
Yeah.
going to be more at the time because I hadn't read them.
I got that book at the Scholastic book sale at school. Did you guys have Scholastic book sales at your school?
Yeah, my parents never let me get anything.
I think everyone had
Aw.
to. I think that was
My-
just normal and standard.
Yeah.
My parents would let me get like one book,
I always
but
like how
none
you-
of the books were good. It was just like, here's like some random selection of those like kids in their magic treehouse. That
I think I got a book that was like about a dog that farted.
My parents would just buy me real books in real life outside of weird events because they loved me.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Does he look like a mastiff?
That sounds accurate.
Like tan, jowly, has like a brown muzzle and brown ears. And he would always get into trouble.
I'm looking this up right now, and Henry and Mudge, is that what we're talking about? Yeah, I think I got this book, and it was about a dog that like it farted or something, and like everybody was like, "Ah, we don't like this dog," and the dog was like, "I can't help it, I'm just farting." Like I believe that was the entire plot.
There were a number of those. I think Goosebumps was a favorite.
I am now Googling Scholastic Book Fair dog fart. And I don't think I'm going to get results.
I personally got a lot of the Jewel Princess books. It was interesting
I do not
because
have results.
Okay, so before we get too far away from Harry Potter, I just wanted to bring up a point. So Harry Potter came out when I was it like 1998?
Third grade for us.
No, it was before third grade. But
then why did they read it to us in class?
My teacher was reading it to me in second grade, so unless you're secretly a year older than me.
Okay, maybe it was a year old.
But, so my teacher was reading it out to us. Now, admittedly, it did
I'm
not
sorry,
take
I have
her...
to interrupt very briefly, because I have apparently discovered that dog fart is some kind of porn company.
Was it a code word?
Oh, no!
Oh!
So dogfart.com is the complete dog fart series for interracial sex pictures. I'm like, what the
wow.
All right.
I don't
You found a thing.
So I was Googling.
Congrats,
I found a
Steve.
thing.
I googled Scholastic Book Fair dog fart, and I'm like, well, that's not bringing results. So I deleted fair, and it became porn. I'm like, what? Like the image
So
results just
That's what I'm looking at right
became
now.
porn. I'm like, what the fuck? How did the Scholastic was not removed from the search, so that's why it was really weird. Continue, Wander.
Okay, so Harry Potter came out when I was like 8 or 9, comparatively. I think. I think I was 8 or 9.
The
you
book
guys
or
were
the
like a little
are you
bit
talking
older
about
than me.
the movie?
The book. And so it was, it was pretty damn popular.
You're younger than me,
really?
aren't you?
Yeah, I'm like a little bit earlier, but like it was pretty damn popular
It came out
even
when you were
amongst like
6.
Yeah, okay, wow. So,
Yeah.
jeez.
Dang.
And its original cover is ugly.
Yeah.
It's really ugly.
But so what ends up happening is there are a number of years for my classmates to psych themselves up for being whisked away from boring old standard public education and potentially being able to go to Hogwarts because we're not 10 yet.
They believed it.
And so like kids' 10th birthdays would roll around and then their 11th and you could just tell some of them were getting
upset,
inconsolable.
Santa
Yeah,
Claus
and
isn't real.
I was sitting there.
So here's the thing. I was 10 when like the first Harry Potter came out. And I guess I was like 10. So
1997.
everybody was like "Oh yeah, you're gonna become like a wizard like after your birthday this year." And I was like, "No, I'm not." But
Oh my god!
I
Okay.
wish I did though. I guess I wasn't 10 when it came out because if it was 1997, then that's not right.
Okay.
The
So I
movies
have
were
to-
perfect though because they came out when they came out. At least for me, like if they started in 2000, I think, then that means that I'll double check real quick. It is 2001. So it was like 8 films over the course of 10 years. So like for almost the entire run of the films, Harry Potter was almost exactly my age.
Yes.
And by extension, pretty much
They
all of
tried
us.
to release it so that was the case.
So in such a weird way, we got to basically watch a movie series where the characters were growing up alongside us in a weird way.
That was the original intent of the books.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling was originally trying to release a
works
book
with
every
authors,
year.
though.
No.
They actually did the same thing with the Toy Story. I was 1 year older, but my brother was the exact same age as whatever that kid's name was. Who's
Andy.
Yeah. Andy. Yeah, so even for the third movie, which came out like way later, my brother was still the same age as Andy, and we didn't realize it until the very end. But like, my brother was about to go off to college in like several days when we watched Toy Story 3. And my mother was like actually kind of like broken up about it, even though I'd already like been gone for a whole year. So it's just like, thanks.
You guys don't really have much for toys. I haven't seen a single toy at your house.
I used to have a lot of toys.
I think they're going to keep doing that.
They
The
got
next one's
goodwill.
planned for 9 years later.
Really?
I think they're intentionally planning them for weird spans of time,
Like
where
generational
people grow in real time or
things?
something.
But wasn't the little
Weird.
girl that they were left with about
Well,
6? Or
I
less?
wouldn't say it's weird at all, Bird. It makes total sense. So
It does.
You know,
It does.
for the four of us here, when we first watched the Toy Story movies, we were about Andy's age, maybe a little bit older, whatever. And then the next one comes out,
Yeah.
and then we're still a little bit older, and it already kind of makes sense because Andy's outgrowing his toys.
No, I think that all makes perfect sense.
But
like
I
from a
can't wait for
marketing
the Toy
and
Story
artistic
Midlife Crisis
perspective.
Edition.
Yeah,
But like,
toys,
you
Andy's just like obsessive. He becomes like that collector of toys.
Yep.
well, but
Yeah.
like nine years later, Andy's probably, well, it might not even be Andy again. I have no idea. But Andy's potentially going to be old enough to be like a young dad for like a 5-year-old, depending on
Probably.
like.
And they're gonna
Are
rip
you-
those cold. They're gonna rip those toys right out of that little girl's hands. So we're taking them back. Now we got kids.
No,
I guess that's
still,
a Toy Story.
Nah,
It involves toys.
I still feel really bad I gave away the original edition of that book.
When Andy
I donated
becomes
it to
the
the
Grinch who
library.
stole Christmas.
It just immediately transfers over to how the Grinch stole Christmas, but how Andy stole his goddamn
Yeah.
toys back.
It'd be worse if it became adult Toy Story.
Oh. That probably exists already as like a.
Probably.
How did we get
Yeah,
here?
I heard
Okay,
my
so
friend said that Fantastic Beasts movie wasn't actually that good.
yeah, I've heard from a number of people that it's kind of a meh.
There have been really mixed responses to both that and Doctor Strange from person to person.
Yeah.
I can see why people wouldn't like Doctor
Arrival's
Strange,
amazing.
but we'll talk about that later.
I
Okay.
really want to see Arrival.
Time.
Arrival
There's
is
too
like
much media to consume.
Arrival is like Interstellar without that part where it kind of stops being as good.
Is it like First Contact with Jodie Foster?
Damn.
I've never
I
seen
remember
First Contact.
I remember
I
Arrival now.
Oh, you haven't?
I don't think so.
Okay,
So
we can
Arrival's
go
interesting
see.
because the
That's-
commercials
wait,
are kind
hold
of
on.
screwing it.
I just want to get this right. It's the commercial where it's like kind of the lady linguist that's trying to speak
looks like
with
a
the
giant
aliens.
contact.
Yeah. And she's
Yeah,
trying to
okay.
talk to a
They
Cthulhu.
smear ink all over the place. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember this now. Okay, I'm a little bit more interested. I was like, the moment anybody mentions Interstellar, I'm just like brain off.
Yeah.
Because I tried watching the first like couple hours of that. I just couldn't.
And that is a movie where you can try watching the first couple hours of it and it's not over yet.
yeah, we got to
Very
the water
close to 3
planet.
hours long.
We got to the water planet, and with like what's her face just being like, "No, I have to get this data."
Anne
as like,
Hathaway.
yeah, Anne Hathaway's like, "I have to get this data," and like everybody's about to die, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I've lost all respect
someone
for
does
every
die.
character." Yeah, but it's just like it. You have to have like reasonably intelligent characters for me to like be interested in your intellectual movie. But if all of the like intellectuals are comically incapable of like dealing with crises, it's just like,
I liked,
no.
spoiler, but I liked the twist that they did with Matt Damon's character in that one.
Matt Damon sure likes getting stranded in space.
Yeah, but like,
Doing
the
it
fact
for a
that-
million years.
The fact that he falsified his data to bring them to him with the hopes of being revived. I mean, that's
I
That
mean,
was
he's
very
the best
interesting.
crafted character in the movie, as far as
reminds
motivations and
me-
behavior go and everything. But
What do you
really,
guys think-
for me, the big takeaway of the movie was just enjoying all the crazy sci-fi stuff and in, like moments of like how they play with gravity and time and things like that. Because the actual story is a little iffy, and the ending of the story in particular is like, really, that's what saved
happened?
the day. Okay, sure.
At the
What
same
were we
time,
gonna
I
ask,
like how
Jill?
they left you with a sense of hope at the end of that. But what I was going to ask you guys about the Great Wall movie
Oh yeah.
that Matt
what is
Damon's
that?
going to be in.
Okay,
so fortunately we got a new look at the trailer from Doctor Strange, so we know more of what was going on. Originally, I thought, European Archer goes to China and tries to negotiate a way to.
I'm totally on board with this so far.
But now, when we watch this new trailer, like the Chinese are like, we built this wall to keep demonic creatures at bay, and suddenly you
Wait,
see these.
what?
Yes, there's like a massive army of evil alien monsters, and
Those
they
are called
just,
Mongolians.
but they're not
Yeah,
Mongolians.
in this case, they're these like weird
They're Mongolian
green
draconic.
dragons.
They're like
Yeah, they're like
they're Mongolian dragons. Gotcha.
yeah,
They're
the
Pokemon.
quadrupedal. There's like way more than Mongolia could even like support quantity wise. It's a really goofy looking like wuxia style film.
I think there are like these 4 warriors that have different colored dragon armor.
So-
like the lady has purple, and there's a green guy and a blue and a.
So
Power
I've been
Okay.
I've been enjoying watching alarmist media freak out about this movie because there's certain websites like there are good.
Oh, is it because it's a white guy going to China or
Like
something?
there are good points to be made about how gender and sexuality and race and all these other things are represented in film and everything. But this particular case has been one of those things where like there's certain websites that just make money by yelling about this stuff all the time, and they've been pointing at this movie. But it's such a bad example because it's a Chinese company with a Chinese director and a Chinese everything making a movie that stars Willem Dafoe and Matt Damon. Like they're doing it on their own. Like it's
Wait,
this
Dafoe's
isn't
in it too?
This yeah,
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe's in it also. This is not. There's no American or European like whitewashing company. Like this isn't.
yeah.
This isn't Gods of Egypt where like where
That was painful.
where Ridley Scott is casting 17 white people to reenact Egypt lore and stuff like that. Like
Oh, wait, it was Ridley Scott?
yeah, Ridley Scott
Yeah.
doesn't make good movies anymore. He stopped about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I
Okay.
remember when I saw just trailers for that. I was with Lady Bird, and I just turned to her, and she was just like, "Really?" She was just like, she just like read my mind. She was like a bunch of white ass, basically.
So the interesting thing about it is though, it kind of looks like okay. So you've seen those like promotional materials for like Korean MMOs or like Chinese MMOs where like everybody's wearing this like super sparkly CG armor and doing like crazy martial arts and shit. So that's in the trailer. Like all of the Chinese characters are wearing these like really elaborate like over the top outfits. And Matt Damon's wearing like shitty leather armor and he looks really grubby in comparison, and like it feels like they pulled him out of a different movie just to star in this one. And like he does some like cool trick with the arrows and then immediately cuts to this like chick in like weirdly revealing armor leaping off of a wall and
It
doing
wasn't
like flips.
revealing. I remember it being really.
It was very form-fitting from what I remember.
At least
But
it covered.
yeah, it covered. It's just okay. Anyway, but like it goes from Matt Damon being like, I can shoot a bull and like do tricks with the bull to like just hundreds of Chinese acrobat like martial artist people. I'm like, what is Matt Damon even like going to be able to do here? Like, give me if he was a wizard, I'd be down with it.
They were only impressed with his archery skills because.
Have you seen
they
what
flung-
Legolas did?
But they
But,
flung
like-
a bull into the air and he shot several arrows to redirect its fall and then balance between 2 of them.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like you go from that to people flipping off of a wall, bungee cording more or less,
Well, yeah, the
to
bungee
like
cord.
kill a bunch of monsters. It's like I think their like criteria here is really, really off.
Hey, I haven't seen a good wuxia film in a long time. I was a big fan of Crouching Tiger,
Yeah.
Hidden Dragon, and
Yeah,
House of Flying
I love that
Daggers
movie.
and other things.
Yep.
So
I'm just ready for it to be completely absurd and full crazy, like the movie Red Cliff, which was basically
that?
No idea.
It was basically the movie Dynasty Warriors. Like you'll just have like one guy facing off like against like 30 spearmen single-handedly, and like there'll be two people jousting, and one guy will stab the other dude and then send him sailing through the air. It's like really weird hyper history.
I
Did any of
like
you-
those. This one just feels off. Anyway, you were gonna say,
Did
Bird?
any of you feel? Did any of you like see trailers for that movie? What was it, Jack Reacher?
Jack
no.
Reacher
Or see that movie or whatever?
Are you
Was
talking about
that?
the sequel?
Oh, that's the
Yeah, the
Tom
sequel.
Cruise.
Yeah,
Tom
I saw
Cruise
Yeah,
Jack
with
in
Tom
it.
Reacher.
Cruise. Oh, okay.
I just remember the only trailer
What did you
I've
think of it?
seen. The only trailer I've seen. Oh, sorry. I
Oh
didn't-
yeah, so
Well, so wait. So are you discussing how Keith saw the first one?
yeah. I just want to talk about the franchise in general because I have some thoughts on it.
The first
I'm
Jack
not
Reacher
familiar
was
with
just
it.
one of those Tom Cruise action movies that deletes itself from your brain after you watch it, but you're like, that was alright. But then you don't remember it afterwards at all.
Yeah.
I saw it like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
had Tom
that
Cruise
was
in
about
it.
when it came out, I think.
Literally, all I
Yeah.
can remember about the entire film is his face, which
Probably-
looks the same in
Probably
everything.
Tom Cruise running, right? Like that's basically all he can do.
Like, I don't know if I can think of Jack Reacher without thinking of scenes from the 4 Mission Impossible movies or from The Edge of Tomorrow.
Oblivion, Edge of Tomorrow.
So I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah,
I can
there
even
was-
conjure a scene in my head.
What
I
other
mean,
ones? Oh, did you guys ever see him in Interview with a Vampire? That was
No.
a creepy movie. That was the one where he was with Brad Pitt and yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
heard
admit,
that was really good, but like
I-
kind
Oh, yeah.
of an indie darling.
That was the weird one where there was a little girl that was a vampire, but she's been a vampire for ages,
One of
and she's just a girl
Kirsten
forever.
Dunst's first roles,
Yeah.
I
She
She was
think.
like frozen and like ageless or whatever.
Like
And
major.
she was livid
Yep.
about it. She was livid
Why?
about it. She wanted to become a woman, and it
No,
was
the character
deprived.
was
Oh,
mad.
I thought you meant Kirsten Dunst.
No,
So I was
the
like,
character
I'd
was
be,
mad that they're
she'd
stuck as a
probably
little
be pretty
baby.
happy.
yeah,
that's
Bird.
right.
Imagine if you were an 8-year-old for the rest of your life.
Shit, I'd take it.
Yeah, it depends. I might go for it.
It'd be much more bearable if you also were mentally an 8-year-old. But if you were not
Yeah,
mentally,
if I were
got-
physically an 8-year-old but like aged mentally as one, I'd be like, no. Well, actually, I'd probably be like, no.
I think the oldest Tom Cruise movie I've ever seen was Legend with Tim Curry as sort of demonic demon
Yeah.
character, and
Uh-huh.
there was a unicorn and an evil bog witch, and that's all I really remember from it.
Yeah. I don't know. Tom Cruise is a weird dude. My
Yeah.
favorite is Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder's great.
I mean, the last
was
Mission
so out of
Impossible movies have
character.
been really good.
I've never even seen the first any of. I haven't
shouldn't.
seen any of them.
Oh,
You should just
guys
skip.
for-
Seriously, just watch Ghost Protocol and the new one. You don't even need
Okay.
to watch the original ones.
Is Ghost Protocol the one with
That's
Shoot,
the one
the guy-
that has where they go on the tallest building in Dubai.
Okay,
And he
yeah.
does
So
his own
that's the one
stunts,
with
and it's
the
absurd.
That's the one with the same actor that did Scotty from the.
Oh yeah, Simon Pegg starts in Mission Impossible 3,
Okay. Because I will admit, he's in
which
some
is
kind of
directed by
bad movies
J.J.
here and there.
Abrams.
But I really do dig like anything Simon Pegg's in, just because he usually brings some level of like, yeah, this is worth
Hilarity.
Oh, yeah.
watching. Yeah.
Did you see his most recent movie? I saw it on Netflix, but it was about a man who ended up giving up almost everything to travel the world, and I thought it was really heartwarming.
An Idiot Abroad.
I don't know if that was it,
Ooh.
but
Isn't that what
So
we're talking
to-
about? Idiot
so to
Abroad.
give
That was the
context, so-
Simon Pegg thing, right?
was it?
I can't think
Yeah,
of that
and
one.
that was like kind of a documentary about like a guy who. Oh no, this is not Simon Pegg. This is Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. Never mind.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, but
Yeah.
Simon Pegg did something
I
similar.
mean, British people are all the same. You put one British person next to another, I couldn't tell you the difference between them.
So just to give context to why the last 2 Mission Impossible movies were so good, Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol was made by Brad Bird, who made Iron Giant, Ratatouille, and The Incredibles.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
So a
And-
guy
and-
who's
and-
typically
and Mission-
behind animated films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation was done by Christopher McQuarrie, who did Live, Die, Repeat. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow. And
Yeah.
Bird was also a creative consultant on The Simpsons, I think.
no, yeah, Brad Bird's been around forever. Like Rogue Nation.
Yeah, he did a lot
Ghost
of
Protocol
animation stuff.
specifically is really freaking good to watch. It's also, and yeah, it's got Jeremy Renner and it's got Simon Pegg, and it's just a great cast with a great director and a great writer doing a cool movie. And you need zero context.
And you guys had seen Minority Report with him in it too, right?
I've never
Nah,
seen
I've never-
Minority Report.
I've never seen it.
You guys
I
have
think
never
I
seen
saw it
Minority
at the
Report?
time, but now
I mean,
it's all I can
I've
think
seen
of
all
it
the
is now.
references.
Yeah,
I can,
now
like,
all I can think
link
of it
it
is-
all together in my head anyway. I might as well have seen it.
Yeah, it's just known now as the hologram movie.
Yeah. Or the movie with, like, thought crime.
Yeah, but like
Future Police.
Right.
There you
there's
go.
always the thing where every time somebody sees holograms, though, they're like, it's like in the Minority Report. He's got gloves and he's touching the thing, and especially now with VR, it keeps coming up over and over again now.
That's true.
Oh, that was Steven Spielberg.
I
Minority
really like
Report?
Steven Spielberg
Yeah.
movies.
So
Well-
I've got a different topic. If you guys are okay
I
with
was going to
switching away.
say, we've mostly just, like,
Okay.
talked about,
We-
like, just
we
a
do-
grab bag of movies. Maybe we can just, like...
This is kind of a short aside, but I'm playing Pokemon Uranium right now, just so I have something to do with my hands, and so the people watching on stream have something to watch. But kind of on a whim, Shell and I picked up the most recent iteration of the... God, how many Pokemon games have there been? Too many.
Yep. Sun and Moon. We picked up Sun and Moon.
I'm very dismissive of Pokemon games, because after a while, they're kind of all the same, and they haven't, like, changed the
Yes.
formula
Yeah,
And
at
the
all.
Pokemon
Nintendo.
keep
Yeah.
becoming less and less
In this case,
creative,
it's Game Freak,
or
though.
Yeah.
Same
creative.
difference.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of pressure on them to not change the formula,
Yes.
because if
Yes.
they did, it could... I mean, they've done it a couple of times. They did...
I mean, why risk not being like one of the highest selling franchises in history?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
why risk not making, like, $170 million?
Pokemon's so popular that when a game not even made by Nintendo and not even properly controlled by Nintendo comes out and gets people's attention, Nintendo's stock goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided to pick up Sun and Moon on a whim, and I was kind of just like, yeah, whatever. It'll be something for me to for me to play in the
continue
background.
playing
Yeah, it's
while
it's kind of one of
we
those. It's like
sit next to each
it's
other
like getting
before bed
it's like
and
getting pad thai.
don't
It's like
converse
it's going to
anymore.
be probably about the same. The luster's
Yeah.
kind of lost, but whatever. It's still probably worth getting.
Uh-huh.
It's freaking good. Like I'm not
Oh.
like super addicted to it or anything like that, but it's one of those where I'm playing it and they kind of eschewed the like a lot of the old traditional like level design.
and tropes.
Which has made a huge difference as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, they still have the rival.
Yeah,
and the
they've
friend
still
and the
they've still got the
mom.
stand. Like it's very formulaic, but honestly, what
Like, where's
Pokemon
the
isn't?
dad? There's never a dad.
Yeah, there's never a dad. I liked it when the
I
dad
got a
was
strong
like an
feeling that if I
absentee
played that game,
gym
I would
leader.
just be hitting A lot to not read the
Yeah.
dialogue. I feel like I
I'm
wouldn't care.
I would
Yeah.
say that one thing the series suffers from is there isn't a mode or a way to
Yeah,
have
they definitely need a
experienced
like. I have
players
been
that
playing
played from the
Pokemon since
start.
I was 10, and I am now most of my way to 30. I think you can maybe add like an expert mode, please. Yeah, it desperately needs stuff like that, but like adventuring in the world feels really nice because they're finally going with the with like level design that doesn't just fall on a grid. So you're like looking around, like
interesting.
even like different bushes within like your backyard will have different amounts of Pokemon in them. Like
I wonder if Pokemon could do with like having some sort of official Nuzlocke options.
I think they should. Well, I mean, honestly, Nuzlocke is something you can totally do without. Like,
Yeah, you don't need to do it.
It's
But
pretty
having
easy to
custom
force
modes would
yourself
be
into it.
interesting since the base game has been played so many times by now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually kind of in the same vein. The fan games have actually started doing exactly that. I'm playing Pokemon Uranium right now, which is the like. Have you guys heard much of the like shit that Nintendo's done to this poor game or no?
Well, obviously, it's
They got
So-
taken
I
down.
assume they just destroyed it. Yeah.
Over the
Yeah.
course of like 1 week, like 4 different fan games of Nintendo things all launched and got taken down back to back.
Yeah.
Like, there was a Metroid game and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, someone was doing like an entire like re-release or HD version or even like a new version of a game or something of like a Metroid Prime game. Like that
I
sounds
love
like that's like
Metroid
super
Prime.
ambitious. And
But
I
that's
think
a 3D game. How did
Yeah.
you manage that?
by being developers.
Yeah. I saw that. It was really impressive. I don't know. That one's not as taken down, if I remember right. But
What happened
specifically,
is it was taken down, but apparently the developer was still patching and updating it by just updating the torrents that people were using to get
Yeah.
the game
Well,
unofficially.
that's-
I mean,
That's
if
what
you drive the build
Uranium's-
underground, that's what'll happen.
yeah.
that's what Uranium's actually doing.
Yep.
Pokemon
Yep.
Pokemon Uranium. The only way people can even get their hands on it is the Pokemon Uranium subreddit now. So I actually had to go re-download it because when my computer wiped, it took the game with it, and I was just really happy to find out that hey, I actually can still play my old save file. But there was what is it? It's the Indie Game Awards this week. There were like a bunch of them being nominated, and Pokemon Uranium and the Metroid game
They
were
actually came up as nominations?
yeah, they were two of the top nominations, and poof, they're gone because Nintendo's one of the sponsors. So they've thrown their weight around and taken both down,
mean-
which sucks.
I can
I don't know what
appreciate
they
what
were
they've done
expecting,
here
though.
watching this, but at the same time, if you have that much talent and know-how, why not
Oh
make
yeah,
something unique?
I was actually
Right.
I got a couple
That's how
hours into this.
Undertale happened.
Yeah,
He was making a fan game of Earthbound, and then he made an Undertale.
Yeah.
That's why the character looks familiar.
And
Sort
you
of
can have
does
so
look
much
like a little
success.
mess.
Because that's also
Yeah.
how 50 Shades of Grey happened.
And everyone's favorite Strategus. That's yeah.
Strategy? What?
Strategus.
Never heard of it.
Somebody made is Warcraft 1. And then it was called like a Freecraft or something like that for Linux. And then Blizzard was like, yeah, you can't call it that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it also had copied over all the Warcraft and Starcraft art into its
Yeah.
engine. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, art is how the IP holders have always like taken down.
Oh yeah, the first image I see of
copyright
quote-unquote
stuff.
strategist for Android is a Terran base sending SVCs out to mineral deposits and Vespene gas.
Let me see this.
It's just
Strategus. Oh yeah,
It's just explicitly a
straight up
screenshot
StarCraft.
of StarCraft, but it looks kind of wrong.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah, like if you look at it, like the interface is just kind of like, huh?
Yeah, the interface is super weird, but yeah, like that's just stealing games. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's how Stardew Valley happened. That's how Terraria
How did
happened.
Stardew Valley happen? Really?
I mean, I'm just saying like those are things that started out like instead of making using someone else's IP, they just made the game they wanted to make that was kind of someone else's IP, but just made their own game of that, and that's how you get Terraria.
That's how
and
good art
Stardew.
is always made.
yeah.
Eventually, there are certain game mechanics that just...
I mean, at some point, Dishonored is really, really a lot like BioShock.
Actually, I'd like to ask about that. So you've been
Yeah,
playing
let's hear about Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I finished the main game and then finished
Already?
I finished the first game. And then
okay.
the DLC, which I was playing the first game's DLC campaign in parallel with the second game. Surprisingly, the DLC of the first game is almost as long as the game. There's people
Dishonored
with,
1 was kind of short, though.
It was kinda short.
especially if you went fast.
but in Dishonored,
Yeah.
there's people with marks. There's supposedly only 4 of them at a time. They're marked by the outsider. That's how they have the powers and everything. In Dishonored 1, you encounter another character who is marked, and what happens from there is determined on how you play and stuff like that. But in the DLC, you play as that character instead, which is pretty great. And
I have Dishonored 1, but I didn't get the DLC because it's just like... Wasn't the first one just like a time trial DLC?
the first one is a time trial, but the second and third DLCs, Knife of Dunwall and Brigmore Witches, are both Dowd's campaign, part 1 and 2.
Yeah, see, I only had the first one, and so I didn't even hear about those after the fact. I was just so, like, grumpy because it's like, time trial DLC? That's stupid. And so eventually I find out that it's like, oh, by the way...
pretty stupid sounding.
What's really great is that Dowd, the DLC character, is voiced by Michael Madsen.
What else? Who else does he voice?
Michael Madsen was the guy that chops off the ear in Reservoir Dogs, and he's in like a whole bunch of different... he's in a lot of Tarantino films.
Crazy, like, bastards in Tarantino movies.
Yeah, he's somebody that's had a film career for a while, but then he voices Dowd, and he's kind of great at it. If you ever saw Kill Bill, he was Bill's brother, Bud.
Yeah.
Oh, well, was that Kill Bill 2 or Kill Bill 1?
Yes,
he's in
both.
Both.
He is in both.
But
he dies in Kill Bill 2.
Yeah,
he has the scene.
He's the guy that shoots her with rock salt and buries her.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember now. I've only actually seen the first movie. I don't believe I've seen the second.
We rented it at my house. My brother watched it all in one weekend, biked down to the library, and returned it.
Oh my
thanks.
god, I'm sorry. I briefly opened his
Nathan.
IMDb page, and he is almost horrifyingly prolific.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So-
He's
so-
got a ton of roles.
On IMDb pages, you get red text next to a film when it's like something that's either in production or done being produced or completed or in post-production or whatever.
Holy crap.
He has a whole screen of he has a whole screen worth of red movies.
I'm looking at this. There's like 10, 12 of these right here.
There's like 15 movies that are either filming or in post-production or completed that aren't out yet because he's just been so busy. Holy crap.
Look at 2016. Dishonored 2 voice credit. Talons, he was a character. Powers, a TV series, is a character. Back in the Day, character. Magi, character. Beyond the Game, don't know what the hell that is.
Well,
it's a bunch of stuff.
Magi
I have
as
no
in-
idea what any of this stuff is, but
Magi
Powers
as
is
in the
the
anime?
Sony
No.
PlayStation.
I don't know. He's got like 15 credits for 2016 here.
Can you throw the link? Because I don't remember the guy's name.
Michael
Okay.
Madsen.
Michael Madsen.
I've thrown links.
And you do well to remember his damn name.
Thank you, TeamSpeak, for warning me that IMDb is dangerous.
That IMDb is dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, I know this guy.
Okay.
So, playing through these Dishonored games,
Wow.
though, like,
yeah.
what's
Arctic
weird-
Justice.
what's weird is how much it's been dawning on me just how much these games really feel like BioShock. Because they're games where you carefully explore locations for resources that can upgrade your character or stock them out. There's elements of stealth, because BioShock had stealth too, although you weren't really expected to use it besides choosing how a fight starts half the time. And they're all about exploring and gathering and then completing the objective in kind of your own way. Like most of the objectives in BioShock and Dishonored both are like, there's a guy that needs to die somewhere. Go find them and deal with that. The twist, of course, being that Dishonored has a lot more mobility skills because it has more verticality to it, like even more so than Infinite ever had, because you can straight up like look up at ledges and teleport to them and things like that. And every single assassination target has a non-lethal variant you can do. So you can do usually there's like 3 things to do in every mission you can do with specifically the target, not ignoring all the free roaming crazy stuff you can do. Is that you can either just kill them, like get in a fight with them and kill them usually is option, or assassinate them, or some variation of just normal killing them, or you can do a non-lethal option that usually involves some sort of weird thing where you dig up like blackmail stuff and you like tarnish their name and get them ousted by their own society, or you brand them, or do some sort of weird way that gets them sealed away. Oh, or the third one is there's often a weirdly sadistic option where you can kill them in a really brutal, horrible way, like in a Hitman level where they have like a set piece kill. Like usually all 3 of those things exist. So it's weird. It's a game that can be both made better and worse at the same time by how open it is, and how much freedom they give you. Because when I beat Dishonored 1, I got to the room that had the big final villain, the guy that was behind everything, that caused everything to happen over the course of the game, and you take this guy down and the game's going to end. I shot him with a sleeping dart.
Yeah.
He never saw me, and there was no showdown and no dialogue. I was like, oh, look, it's the bad guy. And I was like, pew, when the game ended. I'm like, non-lethal takedown. I
Nice.
shot him with a sleep dart. There was no like dramatic, there was no comeuppance. We didn't discuss this at all. I just shot him.
But in the
I was just
epilogue,
up
did
in
they
the
imply that
rafters.
you killed him, even though you hadn't?
No, they don't imply that you killed him. It's just that there's no like. My point is that it was like a weirdly. The game's so free that it also lets you enable kind of unsatisfying
Strange
conclusions
things,
to scenarios because instead of a showdown or anything, I was just like, oh, he's unconscious now. I guess the game's over.
I remember when I was playing the original Deus Ex, I played through the entire campaign completely stealthy, just knocking people unconscious with stun stuff, just totally like a pacifist run. And midway through the game, I run into a character who's like, "You're a bloodthirsty," like, he just like started chastising me. He was like, "You've killed so many people." I was like, "I haven't killed a single person the entire game," but it still counted as kills because it was I was knocking them unconscious.
So,
There's definitely quirks where Dishonored doesn't quite. Its simulation falls apart and it doesn't feel like immersive at times. Where there's like there was two people chatting about their plan to break into a place using this thing, and I was hearing this all, and I snuck up on them, and I engaged in combat with them because stealth broke down, and I end up deflecting one of their incoming sword attacks and then swooping to like choke them from behind. Then the other one just came up and stabbed the person to death while I was holding them. I'm like, what? Why would you do that?
He turned coat.
no, it's just awkward.
It's just they were attacking me, but instead of attacking me, they stabbed the person to death. I'm like, you're clearly not going to hit me. You're going to hit the person I'm choking out.
I'm glad they programmed it that they would actually hit their buddy. I hate games where it's just like...
they hit both of us. I took damage too, but they straight up
I know.
executed the person.
Well, I mean, I'm still fine with that though. Like, oh god, what was I playing?
Like I'm sitting here not trying to kill anyone, and the game's killing itself.
I think I was playing. It might have been Dragon Quest Builders, but like all the enemies can't hurt each other. So at one point I was just surrounded by like 5 scorpions, and they're all just spinning nonstop, and I'm stuck in the middle of it. And I'm just like, this is stupid. And then I died because I couldn't do anything about it. But it's just like, you should be able to collide into each other, and like, nope, you're just murdering. Thank you. That was a grumpy time. So you haven't run into any performance issues with
No, I've definitely had performance problems with Dishonored 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I tried talking about it a little bit when we were playing golf, but I could not get sentences out because people were asking me about it during that
golf
too.
is just pure reaction.
Now, are they using live action trailers? Or was
I have no idea. I don't watch promotional stuff.
I mean, if you look at the promo material, that's all in game.
Yeah, that's all in
very,
game. They've got a
very
really
well
nice style, and
rendered.
it's really
so
gorgeous.
realistic, though, unless you haven't seen the same trailers that I have. I've noticed a lot of trailers now for video games use live actors.
It's cheap.
Yeah. I don't
It
know.
is cheap.
Yeah, filming some
I-
cosplayers is way cheaper than 3D animation, especially for like a 30-second ad.
True.
Yeah.
You just get some people
But
to dress
Dishonored
up
2
and then
is definitely
have them jump
all,
around in slow mo and play like Led Zeppelin or
Yeah, I
something.
swear there was a live
No,
action
that's
one.
that's all. That's
mean,
all.
there
Nobody's
could be a live
pores
action
are
trailer.
that visible,
Wow.
but they are in video game world.
So what's a little quirky about Dishonored games is that they have a weirdly unique take on morality systems, which is that they don't have a good bad meter for the character themselves necessarily. What they do is they have a chaos status for the entire city. And what's interesting about the chaos status is that it's just dependent on certain decisions will increase or reduce chaos, and killing people will increase chaos and stuff like that. Just any amounts of corpses. What's interesting about that is that it's actually almost counter, or at the very least, it's independent of morality systems, because Dishonored does not give you.
Though?
That's what I'm saying. Like Dishonored does not does not give you morally gray characters. Pretty much everybody is horrible and deserves to die, and they're monsters. But they're also people in power that hold the society together. That is both under in both games, the society is usually under some form of it's on the verge of revolution or collapse, and there's in the first game, there's a rat plague that's wiping people out, and people are becoming these weird weeper zombies, and literally the society is breaking down. And the more people you kill or stable people you wipe out, and the more death you create, the more the plagues spread, and the more the society gets
That
worse.
makes sense.
Even if you're killing people that deserve to die.
Well,
So
I
it's-
mean, it's fairly accurate. You can't like dictatorships are stable.
Yeah.
So if you kill the dictator,
I mean, it's not even dictators
stable.
are stable. It's if no matter what government it is, if you go around killing leaders, that it's
Yeah.
It
gonna
would
collapse.
destabilize. Yeah.
Right, but it just goes against the romantic notion of like, if you kill the king, the power goes to the people, and society can revolutionize itself.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it just becomes a lot shittier.
If anything, I learned watching documentaries about a period in I think it was British history where there were like the various dukes that were duking. I'm not going to say that like jestingly, but duking it out over because they had very distant claims to the throne. I think it was like the Duke of York and the Duke of something else, but that just went on for I think those wars lasted for decades, and they
Yeah,
were
but a
just
lot of those
trading
wars
one
were
person.
just like
House interwars, yeah, they're not nearly
Yeah.
as violent as like a 30-year war or anything like that.
yeah.
I think, what is it, like War of the Roses? Is that
Yes,
what we're
yes, it
talking
was
about?
the War of the Roses. I was actually watching
Yeah.
a very long documentary on that, the War of the Roses.
Yeah.
Like thousands of soldiers died in that, and
Uh-huh.
I think it was one guy went to the throne, and then his brother wanted the throne and allied with one of his former enemies in order to try to get him off the throne. But when he did get off the throne, then the king was reestablished, except no one liked him, and then it just kept going on and on and on.
So, if we're done with Dishonored specifically, I've been playing something kind of similar with like society breaking down and running around and murdering people. Fallout Frost. I've been playing Fallout for almost a year now.
So is that like a total conversion mod?
Yeah, it's
It
a total
is.
conversion mod. So it makes it so that the entire surface of the wasteland is like radioactive. So if you don't have a gas mask on, you're screwed. And so
Somebody was playing Metro.
yeah, it's very Metro-y. It's by the same guy that made the dust conversion mod for Fallout New Vegas, which was awful.
Kind of the same concept, right?
I
I heard.
don't
Which was
remember exactly what it was. Well, when I say
I heard
awful,
that it was terrible, but
well, when I say terrible, I mean like it's like it will kick your ass 7 ways to Tuesday until you kind of figure out how to win, and like succeed in the game. And so like I've actually done 2 runs of Frost. My first one ended with me like sitting in Red Rocket with like 75% rads and an infection that was killing me. And
I watched you die.
Yeah.
Tone of voice.
That's creepy.
I watched you die.
Yeah, so like I like found a hospital that was filled with heavily armored cannibals, and I'm just like, well, this is meaningless. But then the whole mod updated version 0.2, and I was just like, all right, good enough, good reason to start over.
Yeah.
But it's just like it takes
It's funny because that first playthrough, I watched you basically like limp along. As soon as that infection stuff hit you,
I had an
you were
infection
screwed
for
like,
7 episodes.
I was gonna say you were screwed for like 6 or
It was
7
awful.
episodes straight. And
So you can
just
actually
couldn't do
It
anything.
sounds like
can-
when I tried to play DayZ.
You can actually
man.
sleep
I'm
off
bleeding
an
out and I'm
infection.
cold. I don't know what to do.
You can actually sleep.
You couldn't sleep long enough because you would die.
Yeah, so I had to keep like going to find resources to keep myself alive and stuff. I actually did eventually sleep it off, quote unquote. It went away for a bit, and then not 5 minutes later, I had a new infection from a new ghoul that
Oh, God.
randomly found me in the wilderness. Yeah, so now you get
condoms,
infections by eating bad food, using Radaway, sleeping in bad mattresses, or getting hit by ghouls. That kind of stuff.
Do you get like lice?
So
Bed
No, you
bugs.
get ghoulism or ghoulitis.
Those damn bedbug ghouls.
I think the logic is it compromises your immune system. But so this time around, I haven't
cool ID.
left the underground. I have like a little base in Hangman's Alley, which is like one of the only settlements. I think the only settlement in Boston, like the only real one. And it's just kind of like my little closet that's right across from a subway stop. At which point, I go down into the subway, and have been systematically murdering every single living thing down there. And so Fallout has this like really nice perk called Blitz, and Blitz makes it so you go into VATS mode and you select your target just like any other Fallout game. At which point your character will like rocket forward, maybe like 15 feet and hit somebody, possibly repeatedly if you have enough AP. Well, my character only has agility, so my entire thing is like Blitz sneak attacks with a sledgehammer, or I got a tire iron with an axe blade. So I'm literally like just Freddy Kruegering my way through a subway line, literally teleporting in front of people. Or in certain cases where I can't figure out the pathing, I tomahawk them with like I'll like swing and then they'll fall over like 10 feet away, and they'll explode into bits and pieces, and it's just this kind of horrifying thing. But I find myself the entire time kind of wishing it was like Dishonored, where like I actually cared about the people I was murdering. Like I came across a town filled with people, and I'm killing them left and right because they're in my way. I literally couldn't like come or go because they were like cowering around me. So I'm like, I have to kill them just so I can walk. But it's
believe
just
me, from the loose set of morals that you usually play your characters with when I've watched you play Frost, I don't think he's losing any sleep over killing a town.
The weird thing is, though, the most recent patch added a sanity system. Your character's supposed to go insane, but I've yet to find any, like, sanity reduction for my character being a psycho killer.
Like, Wander will see, like, two people, like, camping, and he'll just pull out his sniper rifle.
Shoot one in the head and then go at the other one with the sledgehammer. Yep, that's how it works.
I mean, Wander is the king of saying, I feel bad, while meaning it as little as possible. I mean, I draw bad, the line, but I actually don't give a shit, and I just said that to make myself look better. I
try and play moral.
I'm acknowledging that people with emotions would feel bad this way.
I heard that Wander the other day was asking you guys about superpowers and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
So I was wondering about. I mean, you've been mentioning Frost and such. In a lot of games, there's always this dichotomy between flame and frost. What one would you personally choose?
Absolutely, ice powers.
Not just
ice power.
Well, no. If we have to choose between like a fire,
not just
power
as
and
powers, but as like a concept.
Oh,
like,
well.
I mean, okay, you can also apply to powers as well.
Okay, so I want to tangent this for a bit. I always hated reading the X-Men where Iceman was around because he was always the most boring guy ever. He's like, I can like shoot ice out of my hands and like hit people with it. I'm like, dude, freeze the air around them. Like, get a bunch of water and just mess everything up.
Just encase people in cubes of ice.
You've got limitless power, and what do? You make them cold. You maybe freeze their limbs a bit.
There are really interesting superheroes like the Flash, where you fully explore every possible concept behind how their power works and all the crazy ways it can express itself. And then there are superheroes where they don't do that.
To be fair, Iceman, like, artistically is really cool looking.
Oh, yeah. As the comics have progressed, Iceman specifically went from, like, a really shitty-looking snowball fluff dude to, like, making the Silver Surfer look like a awkward dude in a Speedo.
If you Google Iceman images, you get some pretty funny fan art.
You do. I like this one with Iceman surfing. He looks like a naked man wearing shoes.
That is from
I like that one.
Pre-Neolithic era.
You also get frozen remains.
Yeah, because that's the Iceman. That hunter.
On Everest.
Oh, yeah.
That?
No, it was that like
that's creepy.
Like Neolithic hunter that just died, and they found all these tattoos on his skin and such, and they're like, wow.
Okay, speaking of questions, actually, Keith, you said we had a couple? We should probably move towards that, otherwise we're not going to have time for it.
By the way, Ant Wander, how did I know that you were going to play Tyranny with Big Head mode?
I actually wasn't going to, but somebody left a comment being like, ooh, Big Head mode, you should turn it on. And I'm like, all right, I'll leave it up to a vote. And I got like 20 comments from people being like, Big Head
massive. Mode. I could not take this game seriously.
Oh yeah, I can't take it seriously, but honestly, like the views for Tyranny are so bad in comparison to the rest of my stuff that I'm just like, whatever. Anything that makes me happy.
Yeah, I built my audience on the scrap mechanic. I know what they'll like. a very slow CRPG with reading.
Okay, so I'm going to be totally honest. I'm playing that for me. I grew up with Baldur's Gate and shit. So,
Yeah.
okay, questions?
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a few not great ones I can get out of the way really quickly. Do you like Sans and Papyrus? Is anyone going to say no?
Wow.
I
delete?
am not familiar enough with them, so
Oh yeah, Shell's never.
I don't know who's going to say no to it though.
Shell knows next to nothing about Undertale apart from the fan base.
aside from the fan art that constantly plagues DeviantArt, yeah.
Plagues.
Yeah. Except I think it's tapered off now.
Well, yeah.
Undertale
Yeah,
it's been a while.
tapered off in the last couple
Definitely.
months.
Died off.
It was like
Off to the
3
next
months
meme.
of like
I mean, now everyone's making Overwatch art.
Undertale. Yeah.
A lot
That's
of
the next
Sombra.
crazy thing.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, next
Anyway.
one.
I wonder if
Excellent.
Sombra set some kind of record for being like the most fan art made for a character before they ever came out.
Oh, maybe.
I think
Jeez.
That felt absurd.
I don't know. The funny thing is they keep doing this whole boop thing because she boops this one character on the nose in the trailer.
Yeah,
for her.
Shell's jealous
watched
because
the
I
trailer.
do that to her.
Well, that's it's what
Oh.
Wander had always used as some kind of greeting whenever we were talking in our IM chats. Be like, boop. I'd be like, hi.
I also boop her in the nose when we wake up, and she
I'm
wiggles her
looking
nose.
at
like,
Sombra fan art, and so much of it is My Little Pony.
There's a My
I am
Little Pony
floored that
everything now.
that fan base still exists. Isn't that show like? Hasn't that show been over for like
But the thing
a
is,
while?
it sort of extends into the
probably.
furry realm where everyone
Kinda.
has a pony version of themselves,
okay,
and they proceed to
let's
illustrate
breaks.
everything.
Well, that's
Next
that way.
question.
That's the Sonic the Hedgehog problem.
Please, God, next question.
That's right.
Okay.
Shell the Hedgehog.
Wait.
Shell the
I'm not-
Hedgehog, yes.
Why am I a hedgehog? I don't want to be a hedgehog.
typing it
This
in.
is-
This is an old meme.
There's a
And there's a
a lot
Shell
of
the
those.
Hedgehog.
Wait, there's a
Yeah.
Shell the hedgehog? Who's
Artemis Shell Libra the Hedgehog.
Artemis Shell
Wow.
Libra?
This is.
The Hedgehog.
No, they clearly spelled it with a S.
Was it?
No. This one is C-H-E.
So the joke
Yeah.
here, Shell, is that the Sonic fan base is so obsessive that everyone makes their own custom Sonic character. So there's
Yeah,
so many
if you just-
bad
Yeah.
drawings made by 8-year-olds of like these.
Yeah.
Like,
if you put any
every-
first name in
yeah.
front of the Hedgehog,
Oh
you
my
get,
God.
It's like there
You
there
get
is
something.
absolutely a
Wait,
hedgehog
hold on.
equivalent of like those corner stores at like tourist
Yeah.
traps where you get your
Okay.
name on a plate of something.
Okay, look at. Go for Shell the Hedgehog.
Okay.
Go to images.
I'm on images,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, the second one.
The second one that, like a stuffed stitchy
Yeah,
thing.
plushie?
people make dolls and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, it's like
Yeah.
creepy rouge. It's like a rouge hedgehog.
It's a rouge.
Yeah, but it's like bad plushie design, so it's like weird and lumpy. Here,
Well,
no,
it
I'm
looks like
not
it's-
so sold on it.
It looks
I'm
like
throwing this on
Rouge
display capture
wearing
for a second.
The,
There we go. Now people can see
the
this.
lady from Roger Rabbit, I forget what her
God,
name
this
is.
is
Jessica
just
Rabbit.
uncomfortable.
Jessica Rabbit with Sonic's.
Her arms aren't
Skin
even
on her
the
head.
same length.
Okay.
She's got like one arm up and it's like shorter, and her thumbs are like.
Hey,
huge.
admittedly, plushie making is a difficult craft.
It's hard,
You have to
but-
go through several iterations. Except I was lucky and I only had to make one pattern that I adjusted one time for my dragons.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay. Well,
if I had to do anything with more limbs and stuff, then I'd have an issue.
okay.
Oh, boy.
Can we have another question though?
Oh
Yeah.
wait, this one actually isn't fitting. This was, and this example you're talking about is actually made by someone named Lita Michelle. It's called Breezy the Hedgehog.
Yeah. It just
Anyway.
showed up.
Anyway,
Question.
going on from
Yes.
that, someone asks, "Have you written any fan fiction?"
Nope.
No. I don't think I have.
I will admit I've actually been super tempted to write some Oh No Necromancer fan fiction.
oh, come the fuck
We'll get to
on.
that in a minute because Bird got questions
When I
on that.
was- When I was young,
So Bird's gonna have to explain that in a
You're
minute.
kidding me.
Yeah.
Huh?
I did.
No.
I think I technically have written fan fiction.
Okay.
So let me Google. Let's see.
Well, while you figure that out,
No,
I was
it's-
in a creative writing class last semester, and somebody for one of their assignments actually submitted Doctor Who fan fiction.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah, starring a female doctor. So
Just
she
write
also had a
sci-fi.
chip on her
You
shoulder.
could just write any side. Oh god.
One of our
Yes.
friends was in a creative writing class, and she had to grade someone else's paper or their creative writing story. And it was an Aurelia X. Who's the guy with the big mustache and like Bunkle?
Heimerdinger.
Heimerdinger, yeah. So it was an Aurelia X Heimerdinger fan fiction.
It was
And who did they have as their child? I forget.
Annie and
Annie was their
It's been
child.
so long. They had 2 kids, and it didn't make any sense. I think it was like Timo and Annie. I don't know, but they were turning in fan fiction for their creative writing class.
Just
It
Can't
was
believe
horrifying. Yeah. Anyway.
All right,
Keith,
so I've
you're-
established a timetable here. So
Okay.
I had to Google the Matrix Online closed beta to figure out the timing of this. So this would have been in 2004. And
Okay.
I think it's technically fan fiction. What happened is the Matrix Online was coming out, and I liked the Matrix movies because I was too young to realize that the sequels were bad yet. And,
wait. So did you make a Matrix character for your character in Matrix Online?
So the Matrix Online was coming out, and I downloaded the beta, and it took all day because it was old. Like it was either dial-up or
back-
DSL, like incredibly old
Yeah.
internet at the time. And I then found out for the first time because this was like foreign concept to me at the time that my little 14-year-old me didn't realize my computer couldn't run it. So in the first place, so all that time was
So
totally
you wrote
wasted.
fan art instead.
Well, I went on the forums and I encountered for the first time forum role playing.
yeah.
There was like some sort of developing. There's like a big developing plot where like it must have been like 16 different people with their own characters writing in first person, developing the story, and it was weird because it wasn't like chat room role playing where you just type a sentence or whatever. It was like you type like
A paragraph.
You
several
would essentially
paragraphs.
type like an essay sometimes of like the next chapter
Yeah.
from your
Oh, yeah.
perspective, and everyone would take turns basically.
Yeah.
And the
so-
thing is,
I did that. That was fun.
So I wrote an incredibly cringe self-insert character, basically, where it was someone who was mute and could only communicate by, like, they run around with like this. It was like this reflective plate, and they could bend it with their brain, like the spoon scene and stuff like that, and they could
So
like
they
write
would
on it with their
morphs?
mind.
or they'd write on
And
it.
but before long, I basically realized that I'd essentially created Edward Elric in the Matrix universe as my self-insert character. But I
Nice.
wrote like almost weirdly elaborate, like multi-page chapters for this RP, and then one day I just stopped going back. I don't remember what happened to it. The whole thing must have happened for the course of a few days, but I was like slightly obsessed and writing way too much about it. But then I think I just forgot about it almost immediately
Yeah,
too.
you see, my parents never allowed me to interact with people online, so I never played an online game, online forums, anything when I was young. But my friends and I would pass around a notebook, and we each made a character and would write a chapter from our character's limited third-person perspective. But we would have them interacting with all the other characters, and it would push a narrative along, and we would consult with one another as to what was going to happen. But
it all just leads back to Oh No Necromancer.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'm just waiting to hear what questions.
You
my
should tell
friends
us
and I
stories.
definitely would make characters for anime. I think it was mostly Inuyasha.
So I will admit I actually did the exact same thing as Keith, but over the course of a year, because it was me and like some close
I think
friends.
it was
yeah.
a weekend for me.
It wasn't the Matrix. I think it started as like it might have been a Legend of Zelda thing, but like it very obviously was not content wise. I think like for maybe like 2 chapters, somebody was like trying to bring it back to Zelda. And then we're like, this is dumb. And then we used time travel to get away from their dumb story that they were trying to push.
I think I did kind of the same like forum game now that I think about it with like what was it? Mega Tokyo.
Oh my, really?
What was Megatopia?
Wow, that's
thing
worse.
to think about.
What's Megatopia?
I don't know what's worse now, that or Oh No Necromancer.
I wrote one chapter of a forum RP-ish game for Mega Tokyo.
Does he?
What's
does,
Megatopia? Can someone
Okay, does
explain?
that still exist?
I don't fucking know.
I'm looking this
Probably.
up.
It's been going on since like 2000, I think.
Whoa, it's
So it's
it's an old manga.
I have a
It's
question
a-
for my chat. Bird, what's the worst thing you ever read? Mega Tokyo. Boom.
yeah.
Roasted.
Okay, so the answer is August 31st, May 20th are the most recent things. Can I see if there's like
I just see a girl that's saying, "Have you come to witness my death?"
Yeah, it's
Mega Tokyo is
fucking-
one of those webcomics
archives.
that like ran off the rails almost instantaneously.
Yeah, so
I'd love
like
to make
boxer hockey?
webcomics someday.
Yeah.
well, no, but like Boxer Hockey ran off the rails and like it was kind of tolerable. There is no like dating on this,
short
which
tack.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing about like Mega Tokyo is it's a manga about two guys that get stuck in Japan. They went for like some gaming convention.
But it looks apocalyptic.
I mean, maybe, I don't know, but they're stuck in Japan and they don't have any money, and
I
like
am
they
not
somehow
impressed
managed
with
to
their art.
like, yeah,
No,
but
it's
it's written
pretty
by
bad.
it's written by an American guy and drawn by an American guy, and it's very
well,
like self-insert. I think he's American.
One of the
isn't he?
authors like left a long time ago.
Oh, yeah,
It's just done by one person now.
Yeah. It's been cycling out, but it's one of those where the like artist author guy that's still pushing it along is totally like the main character with the way like it's written, and it's really awkward, and like there's several girls in love with him, and like
Yeah.
there's robots
that
and
happens.
superpowers going on in the background, and like there were definitely like elements of that story that were kind of cool. The like secondary character was like kind of mental and would like go off to fight robots every once in a while, and you just like everybody else would be
It was
having a normal day.
Not
and you'd-
really. It was just like a low level of like wackadoo at
Yeah.
all times, and like
But I
no
was like-
cohesion.
I was like, I want that wackadoo. Like that's the reason why I still read it. I also read it, I think, in like 7th or 8th grade, where like
Right.
it was kind of perfectly targeted at me.
Yes.
But I just like I
been
was
around
just
for that
thirsting
long?
for that wackadoo.
Been around
Yeah,
since 2000.
it's been going for 16 years.
That's absurd. The art didn't get
It
any
is.
better.
One of the longest running webcomics.
I just hit first
Yeah.
comic, jumping from the most recent one in 2016 to the first one. The art got no better.
no, it
It
didn't.
got
It
a
looks the
little bit better.
same.
He got
Yeah,
he got
you
a hell
guys-
of a lot better doing the environments.
If you guys have ever seen something like Zap with an exclamation point at the end, like the first chapters,
Like Zap
yeah,
Bell?
obviously. No.
that's Zatch Bell.
No, it's
Never
Zap,
mind.
like lightning bolt Zap.
Yeah. Well, yeah, her first stuff was like crayon levels of shitty.
I don't know if it was crayon necessarily, but now it's, really nicely vectored and shaded and such. And yeah, people keep working at it. It really pushes you to do more.
I always like looking at the progress that happened in Penny Arcade.
Yeah, Penny Arcade is like really quite pretty.
Well,
These
okay,
days.
so
Penny
the
Arcade
thing
started out
about-
as a comic that I could have drawn.
Yeah.
I absolutely could have.
The thing about Penny Arcade, though, is at this point, Penny Arcade itself is not drawn by the original creators. They have like a whole slew of interns to do it for them. Maybe what's his face does the pencils, but he's you can actually tell when they hired like a bunch of artists to take over
Yeah.
for them because the style
Okay.
went like 180. Not that it's a bad thing; it's just super noticeable for me.
All right. Any more
Okay.
questions, Keith?
What's weird to me is that I'm not entirely sure, but I think as much time has passed between the start of Penny Arcade and the launch of the Rainslick Precipice of Darkness, and then the time after that to now.
Yes.
Oh,
So like,
Interesting.
so those video games are like a really weird like midpoint of the art
Halfway?
style is what it's based
Yeah.
on. Like it's really
Yes.
strange. Like I still picture that as the Penny Arcade art style, but it's been like 8 years. Like it's been a long time since Precipice of Darkness came out, which is
Yeah.
weird to think about.
Yeah.
I
The,
tried. I tried, like playing those games when they came out. They were funny, but I also couldn't. I don't know. They were kind of
The gameplay was very kind of stale.
awkward. Yeah.
I enjoyed them. They're too short they were too short to get bored. Because
Okay.
the episodes 1 and 2 are like 5 hours long practically,
I
just like
think-
just like the Deathspank games would be after that because it's the same
I think
developer.
what happened was I like turned a
3
right
and 4 are much
and-
longer.
I think I like turned to right and got kind of stuck in an area filled with like really high level enemies as soon as the tutorial ended, and I was like, "This is kind of stupid." And then it was
so you played it
would have
for
been
like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it was like enough that I was just like, it poisoned the well really
Do you guys know what the
really
weird
early
thing is
on.
that happened to that series?
What?
They had like a huge issue with their developer and more or less like lost a lot of progress and had to start over, and that's why the game style changes halfway through.
Yeah, the first two
interesting.
the episodes 1 and 2 are made by, I think, Hothead, the people that made Deathspank. And so it's this 3D style, and it's all cartoony, and it's these top-down games and stuff like that. But then, they had some kind of falling out, and they thought the series was canceled to the point where they actually I think they even published in text form like the rest of the story of the series on their website at one point because they thought it was dead. But then way later, the Breath of Death 8 and Cthulhu Saves the World developer went on to get a deal with them. Yeah, they made episode 3 and 4. So episode 3 and 4 are top-down, sprite-based, turn-based combat games, whereas the first two games were like weird, like the first two games were like the Mario RPGs, like Mario and
really
Luigi.
Interesting.
It's
In fact,
weird.
like out of nowhere, the series went from being like Mario and Luigi RPGs to being old Final Fantasy games. But they're so weirdly like off kilter, humorous and bizarre. Like you'll be fighting weird ass things and having weird joke descriptions for everything. That like they're just really interesting to play through just for the weird quirks, and that only gets amplified by getting to the sequels where there are games where every time you highlight stuff, descriptions pop up because it's an old RPG, and like they get to write stupid things for everything all the time, and it's great.
I love games with dumb descriptions of stuff. Oh shit, that reminds me.
Like in Penny Arcade, you can fight deep crows, but then you can find the deeper crow, and his description is like deep down in the guts of the world, they grows them big. I'm like, I love this game.
The deepest crow.
Yeah, like you can be like all these straightforward character roles, or you can be like a mime or a gumshoe, because why not?
Yeah. So this actually reminds me. I finally beat World of Final Fantasy after like binging the shit out of it this past week because I didn't want to be playing two Final Fantasy games at the same time. Yeah, because that would be that'd be a problem. The last boss is quite possibly the most obnoxious last boss I've ever run into in an RPG. His main attack makes you silences you and confuses you, and.
Whoop.
Yeah, oh boy. So
and
you
then
just physical attack him for the entire fight.
As you deplete his health, he
Sounds
gets faster and faster. And the game also has this, you stack your monsters on top of each other, which is normally like a really cool system. But he knocks you over, and then he attacks you 4 times, killing your entire party. And so I'm just like sitting there mega phoenixing and like mega potioning myself over and over and over again, just so I'm not going to lose. And it was just this like weird... Like, everything was super casual. Like, I literally could have walked away during the prior boss fight and just let my guys auto-attack him, just hitting him in the face a bunch. And then immediately, part of the problem was, while my guys were confused, they both had counter, like, abilities. So it's like, if I hit you, you'd hit me back. Except for they would start hitting each other because of confusion. Like, a lot.
Oh.
So I was actually just as, I was just as vulnerable to myself as that. And it was actually, like, really interesting, because very rarely do bosses, like, really, like, push those status effects, especially at the very end of the game. Usually it's just, like, really heavy hits and a lot of health, and it's like, okay, you can deal with this, and it's really cinematic. And I was just like, during this fight, it's just like, this is pure bullshit, and I hate everything.
So
of course, I forgot to save before that.
I have to ask, because it's now been their 5th chance to do this, another 4th chance to do this. Did they finally give Lightning a personality?
Yeah, actually, all of Lightning, Titus, Cloud are all actually like relatively likable characters. Like Lightning is still kind of her like grumpy, less than likable self, but like Cloud makes some jokes. Titus isn't really annoying and stupid. They made him a little bit too bro-y, but, like, he was talking for a while, and I was just like, I actually like this Titus. They picked a great voice actor, because I don't think it's the same one. But I was actually like, I kind of wish they'd actually go back and like remake these characters because they did a great job with the like making the chibis likable and interesting. Almost to the point where
like the main series became such self-parody for me because Lightning was such a weird cardboard cutout with no personality and so difficult to even stomach. And then the sequel, she's not in the franchise at all. And then the third game, the trope supposedly is that they removed her personality and emotions because she's like a vehicle of God now or something. And I'm like, what's the difference? Was the joke for me because I'm like, I can't fucking. She had one to take. Like she was a terrible protagonist for an RPG series.
I find that for Final Fantasy games, it seems like the protagonists are always the vibrant young youth who is imbued with special abilities,
they switch between
or they're the hardened warrior.
They switch between goofy dumb kid and like kind of grimdark soldier guy. And now for 15, they're doing both at kind of at the same time.
They got a whole group of people.
I'm actually really looking forward to it. I was watching a little bit of their anime, and then we also saw the prequel movie.
I still hope there's female characters, because I don't...
There are not going to be female characters in the playable characters section, but there are going to be, like, female, like, supporting characters.
It better not just be
Dude,
his
I
fiancé.
am super down for, like...
Isn't Sid a woman now?
No, Sid is a dude, and I think evil, if I remember right. Oh, there is a chick though. You're right.
Yeah, isn't the blonde girl from the demo Sid?
No.
Did you ever play episode Deshay?
Oh, you're right. Sid is the chick with the.
I didn't see it.
Sorry, I was thinking of a different Sid.
Is this like the El Cid or Sid?
Sid is
I
the
was
bad
thinking.
guy
I was
in
getting
Type Zero.
Yeah, that's what I was getting confused with. Sid has been like a bad guy once or twice, and I was getting confused because for a second I thought Sid was one of the two evil guys from the movie. But it's also been a long time, so it's...
Yeah, Sid looks like Riku in the new game, basically.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's all I need to hear.
Yeah, wasn't Riku your backup waifu, Bird?
Backup waifu.
Well, you mentioned
Your waifu?
Riku, but then you backpedaled and mentioned Jinx, and I was like,
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
I'm alarmed.
Riku is second to Jinx.
We didn't. I thought we had this conversation.
We did.
on the
I totally
podcast.
I forgot.
We've had this conversation.
Mechanic.
Oh, it was a scrap mechanic thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about we were playing scrap and had nothing to talk about game wise because we were building shit. And so Bird asked like, what was our like childhood waifu or whatever?
Yeah.
And God, I don't even remember what my answer was. It was boring. But Bird's was Jinx. And so, if you're on our Discord right now, by the way, Bird has a portrait of himself, his face on a Jinx body, which is really, really freaking weird given the context.
I've just become one with my waifu, dude. You don't need to waifu shame me.
People have come to the conclusion.
No, I'm just pointing it out so everybody's on the same level of context as me.
Like
or
aliens
Jinx
and stuff.
Yeah.
Were the aliens?
Okay, so
Ew.
no, they always were something other than human. That's just because they happen to be the noble characters.
And yes, everybody listening, this is Jinx, as in the Pokemon.
Yes.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
I'm just looking at this and like there's
we should probably move towards wrapping this up in the interest of time.
There's actually a surprising amount of evidence though for like a comparison of characters. Like I think I've pointed out to you guys before, like the Sion versus Sora situation, where the main character of Kingdom Hearts looks exactly like a previous character that Square Enix made in the Bouncer. I'm looking at Riku from Final Fantasy X-2 and Sid from 15, and they're both like one has yellow bra, the other one has yellow like jacket. One has like short shorts, the other one has a short skirt that's the exact same length, just one has legs. One has a red scarf, the other one has a red hat. They both have like super boots, exposed legs. They both have a like exaggerated belt with pouches on it. Like it's actually weird how many similarities there are again.
Good Lord, I'm looking at Riku from 10-2. and I forgot.
Yeah,
They were not wearing a whole lot of clothes.
She
What?
was a skank.
she's just wearing a mini skirt and a bra.
Yeah.
Sorry.
no. There's
See-
a thong.
Everyone seems to forget
oh,
Pain,
yeah, the
though. She was
exaggerated-
the third member of that troupe.
Payne
and-
was wearing the most amount of clothes comparatively.
Are you
from
telling
what
me
I
she
remember,
was
without
except
love,
for
even though with Payne
there
you
was
can't get
one or
enough?
two outfits where she was wearing way less than everybody else, but I don't remember.
Wasn't she sort of gothy?
Hang on.
She always wore black leather or something.
It is amusing how
Yes.
about 50% of Riku's clothing is on her arms.
Yes.
I'm
she
gonna
has
show you a
fully
picture,
covered
and I
arms.
want you to tell me. Does it look like Riku has like one tiny baby hand in this picture?
What?
Well, that's because she's wearing fingerless gloves.
Yeah.
It looks like she's got like one little like
Yeah.
itty bitty baby
But
hand.
yeah, the fingers.
Because she's
I
got the
think it was
exaggerated,
just-
she's got the super exaggerated sleeves
I
and
just
fingerless gloves.
like
Yeah,
the
it
weird
does look
seagull.
weird.
I like
Yeah.
the weird like butt seagull that
You
they've got
couldn't lift
going
a
on.
leg in
What
that.
the hell? She doesn't have a butt seagull.
Yeah, but
Man,
but you
she looks
couldn't-
like a Hoey pirate wearing a scarf.
How is
You
that
couldn't-
seagull so big?
I don't
you
know.
couldn't lift your leg without flashing someone. It's
Also,
the scale
with
makes
how-
no sense.
With how loose that drawstring is on her bra, that those would come undone pretty quick.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
her tiny miniskirt kind of explains why her combat stance looks like she's cross-legged.
Yeah.
I need to
She has
see
her,
it, but
both of her
see
knees are
this.
pointing towards each other while she's crouching. Like,
Oh
to
yeah,
not
that's good for stability, right?
uh,
It's a real power stance to have your knees.
I think she looked the
pointed
same in the
inwards.
last game too, as far as the pose goes. But it looks sillier when you realize once you add the opening to the options.
I'm just gonna let my stream see this.
All right,
This will
so
bring
we're
in
gonna close
viewers.
this on Bird
Yes.
explaining, oh no, Necromancer or whatever. Cause
oh yeah, the Ono Necromancer
that's
thing.
we
Yeah.
already opened that and we can't close it.
Okay.
We can't just tease people.
Do
do
and I
you
have
need me to
questions
do
about
it?
I think.
Do I need? I think you want to do it.
I mean, I
Now,
don't
what
have
is
to.
Ono Necromancer? Can you bring up an image of
Okay.
that?
No, there's no images.
No, there's no Ono Necromancer
Baird,
fan
you should
art.
you should explain it. I
What is it?
can't ask my way through a good description of it.
You gotta do this. It's
All
your
right.
it's your dark past.
All right. So, in elementary school, me and a bunch of my friends, we started a round robin writing story.
Oh yay!
And it was starring us with like author self inserts in a vampire hunting agency. And so but we also hunted like necromancers and the undead and stuff like that, blah blah
Paranormal
blah. It was like paranormal stuff. It was kind of like SCP if you think about it. It was like SCP crossed with XCOM. So I came up with the idea, and I did actually just basically say it was XCOM, but for the undead instead.
Species evolving.
Anywho,
Dark sparse.
anywho, so that's like the kernel of the story. And so we had all our little self-insert characters, and we just traded around. And I was the muscle. One of my friends was like the brains behind the operation and the chief financier. Another guy was he had like magic powers and stuff. And
Was he part any kind of supernatural entity, or was it just magic that he
No.
came across?
no,
Okay. Because there's always
No,
that one character that's
that-
part vampire or something, and they're like, I'm joining up with you guys to hunt my own kind.
no, thank God we didn't have that. But my character was like super animu, like he had swords and
Was he
stuff.
Elric too?
I don't know.
We could be
Maybe.
Elric together, Bird.
Okay, come on, Bird.
So what
There's some
happens?
follow through here.
Each
You've
of
been
the
through this
story.
once. You can do it again.
Okay, so then as a joke, I decided to write a spin-off musical about the round robin story, which was a prequel to this story, where it was us running into a graveyard where a necromancer was summoning the armies of the undead. And I titled this musical, Oh No Necromancer. God damn it.
that's epic. Okay. So
I
how
titled
did the
it
song go?
"Oh No, Necromancer," and
Did
there
the
was
Necromancer
one.
sing a song?
I just want to point out this whole story happened too because during a scrap mechanic playthrough, you suddenly said, "I've written a musical before. Why did I say this sentence out loud?"
Yep.
Yeah, there was like immediate regret halfway through the word music.
Yeah. Well, I'm regretting it again. So there you go. So anyway, I don't. The whole thing's lost to the sands of time, but I will say this: I went to a store and I got manuscript paper.
Oh.
And I printed out like the first like 5 scenes in the style of like a musical script with like one of those push button like pins to like hold the manuscript together. I went classy with this thing. And then I like shared it with my friends. And there was only like one number and I barely remember it, but it was basically something like, "Oh no, Necromancer! Oh no, Necromancer!"
I mean, you laugh, but Repo the Genetic Opera is a thing that happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That was a
Ripperman's Genetic
That's
Opera
a
and
real
stuff.
movie.
Yeah. Anyway, so I showed it to one of my friends, and here's like a little addendum, just another little deet that I'm remembering from back then, just to make sure that's not just a complete like retelling of everything I said in Scrap Mechanic. So another detail was I showed it to one of my friends who was actually a part of the round robin story, and he read it and laughed his ass off, and then handed it back to me. And then later on, apparently, like, he had a conversation with one of my other friends, which was, by the way, what was that dumbass thing that Adam gave me to read earlier? He apparently just flipped through it in front of my face and didn't actually read it, but just pretended that he read it.
And he just laughed. He laughed
He
without
just
reading
like
it.
laughed like occasionally, and I was and then when he like got told like what it was, he was like, "Oh shit." So then he like came over to me like a couple minutes later and was like, "Can I see that again?" And I was like, "Okay," but I didn't know that that conversation had like taken place. But yeah, when I did hear about it later, I was like, "Well, okay."
He didn't. So
I
And
read
then
the whole
he
number.
actually like got like super into the idea. Everyone was like, "This is like really stupid that you're doing it, but it's really funny." And that's only all I remember.
that's how
about
successful
Oh No,
web series
Necromancer.
are born.
If my legacy turns out to turn all the way around and wrap around to Oh No, Necromancer,
You become
that's
executive
and that ends up
producer
being
of
my-
Oh No, Necromancer.
That's a cool assignment. Write a musical about a necromancer. I mean, weird.
I'd
I'd be
I'd
too
rather
busy
not
trying to come
write
up with
Oh No,
taglines for it instead of actually writing it. Oh man. So because of your story, we got 2 questions inspired by such. One, by Anonymous, is Bird, what is the worst song you made?
What is the worst song I made? Why? Why are we doing this?
I mean,
I didn't
there
do
are the
it.
ones I sang about
Why
mundane.
do bad things happen to
things.
good people? Okay, what's
I mean,
you
the
have
second
delusions of
question?
grandeur.
What's the second question?
The other question is, Bird, for any of your musicals, did it get to the point you thought about costumes for the actor?
Okay, the answer to that one is no.
Okay. I can I interject?
Sure.
So, my friends and I, we did this. It was sort of like a round robin thing, but not quite. We actually had a creative writing club in our high school, and we decided that we were going to make a full length movie, and it was going to be so cool. And my character was this creature from another dimension that had been drawn in by an evil sorceress played by another one of my friends, and he was like the gate guardian, but you know, obviously being stripped from his post and brought into the real world, which was sort of like a medieval Europe. He had no way of getting back, and the sorcerer had promised to aid him in that endeavor, all the while trying to use him for his power to reclaim a bunch of stones to, okay. I won't go into too much detail. But
Okay.
at
Of
one
course you will.
I had made my entire costume, and it is
Wow.
awesome. So imagine, if you will, leather gauntlets with retractable arm blades. I actually cannibalized some old lightsabers from a carnival. You know, the ones that are yellow at the tip, then pink, then white, then green. Did you guys ever get carnival lightsabers, like the little flashlight ones?
No idea.
Okay. So I'd actually, taken the blades off of them because they had since broken off and painted them silver. And yeah, they were awesome retractable blades. The creature had tail, horns. Imagine like all of like the predator dreadlocks with the metal rings around them and such. And, a face mask with fangs and everything. It was a really cool costume. I actually wore it to college for my first Halloween, and everyone really loved it. And I think also for my third Halloween, people really loved it. It actually freaked some people out, especially the girls in the bathroom.
But they never
All right,
made
so
the
I will
movie, and now she
answer-
just has that.
But
Okay.
I
I
actually
will
wrote
answer
a
the
song
first
for my
question
character.
that was asked to me, and then I hope that we can all move past these topics and close out the podcast for the night.
Yeah, we're ready to go,
Never.
I think.
Okay.
By the way,
So
we have
the
never
worst song.
we've never had a single podcast shorter than like 100 minutes in this series yet.
I know. That's pretty crazy. Anyway, so the I remember the very first song I ever wrote and finished. This was back in high school. I was in a band called the Half Asian Experience.
Oh, wait, you mean like a
Whoa.
band, like a punk band with a drummer and a guitarist
Yeah,
and
yes,
stuff?
yep.
Or, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And, we
that's
had
like every high schooler's
half-
dream to make a band.
Yeah. I was in 3 bands in high school. Anyway,
Oh.
so the first band I was in was called the Half Asian Experience because half the band members were Asian. And it was their idea. They were head over
Yep.
heels like with this
It was
idea.
their- it was their
I
word.
had friends in elementary
Yes.
school that actually had a group name that was like shockingly similar. Continue.
Yeah. So the Half Asian Experience was a collaborative project between me, this one guy who could barely play the bass, and another guy who was really, really good at the guitar, but he only owned really shitty, cheap guitars. This is a very important detail. Very important detail. You have to keep that in mind for later. And another guy who only owned an electric drum set. So we were obviously it was
Just
awful.
the cream of the crop,
You
really.
can fix that
Yeah.
in post-production, right? I'm kidding.
No, we didn't even dilute ourselves that much. So
Can you
we-
just fix my talent in post?
we decided we were going to compete in the talent show and at school, and so we put together one song and recorded it, and I was the songwriter, lyricist, keyboardist, and singer.
Okay. Did anyone else
It
sing
was-
with you for
So
like
you're
harmonies
like the
and
trumpet
stuff,
player
or
from
nah?
Cake.
Yeah, I am like the trumpet
Like
player
one
from
guy
Cake.
plays like 7 things.
So we released one original song and recorded it, and okay,
Can you sing a verse from it? Anything?
Do you
I
have
can
it?
sing a verse from it.
Do you have
Because I
it?
remember it. Do I have it? No, no.
Oh
thank
no!
God I don't.
You didn't upload it to like MySpace or something, and like some
No.
long forgotten page where I can rip it and maybe
No, no,
include
no,
it at the
no,
end of
no.
the podcast.
You can find my other bands, but good luck. I'm
Not
not
this
telling you about
band.
them.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, not
If I
telling
found
us
it,
what
could
to
I
do.
use it?
Maybe. I don't know.
We do need some background music for this
sounds
podcast.
defeated.
I find they're kind of quiet, and
Background
Yeah.
music is a bad idea, I think.
I know.
Yeah.
You're a crazy person, and you can add your own background music, you crazy person who needs music for everything.
I'm gonna go turn on some
Yeah.
music.
So we
I
had a
as somebody who
It better
listens
not
to
be slow
podcasts
jazz.
almost constantly, None of them
So
use music.
I remember part of the lyrics. The song was called. It was autobiographical in nature. Let's just say it was called Rock Band,
Okay.
and it was about us deciding to put together the half Asian experience. Because that's all we knew about life at that point. They say to write what you know. Well, we spilled the beans early. And if I don't remember the first couple of lines, but I remember some of them. And if I remember, they go something like, the chorus was, so welcome to our show. Now give us a hand, because we're a rock band. Now,
You are the
if that's not the
songwriter,
most-
so this is all your fault.
yeah.
We are the opening band. It's probably not the band you came to see tonight, but it's alright, because soon we'll go away.
Yeah. Funny.
You know that is Paul and Storm?
That's Cake, right?
That's
no,
Paul
that's
and
like
Storm.
Yeah. So that's those are the lyrics from the Half
every-
Asian Experience, and I don't really remember the melody so much. I mean, I do remember the melody, but I have way too much dignity to sing it. So
Really?
sorry. I remember it like it was yesterday. How the melody goes for the little shred of lyrics that I remember.
Well, love is such an easy thing to say. I stumbled on whether or not I even knew the words for a second there. Crap.
Classic. So that's the worst song I ever wrote. It was also the first song I ever wrote. I wrote a lot of other really, really shitty songs too, but that's the worst one.
I find I accidentally write interesting songs while performing mundane tasks.
Uh-huh.
So I could write a song about chopping onions.
I write songs in my sleep.
I'm not having luck because everyone has your name.
That's good.
You have
I
a
don't
very
want you to have
common
luck.
name.
I
was like,
don't want you to have luck.
I was like, I wonder if he ever made this. And like, no, he's
okay.
not from Nova Scotia.
It's homework for next time, Keith.